It's a Tuesday, second day of the week, third day of the month, and here we are doing what we do best, giving you that informative, show on television. My name is Benjamin Akakwa. Welcome aboard. Now, here's what you can expect. Shortly, I'll be serving you the news, and of course, the news will be followed by sports. Muftau Nabila Abdullahi will anchor that. Then we get into the news review. Matthew Nyindam, the legislator for Kwandai, will join us. Wanda Madilo is with the NDC's communications team. He will also be here. They will share their thoughts on the state of affairs in Ghana. And from there, we get into our big stories. Now, Special Prosecutor Kisia Jabing has stirred controversy, turning former Minister for Finance Ken Ofori-Atta into a fugitive for the second time. And that follows his failure to comply with a directive to make an appearance to the Special Prosecutor's office on June the 2nd, which was yesterday. This morning, we're going to dig into that, take a look at the mandate of the Office of the Special Prosecutor and whether his actions so far are grounded, founded, rooted in law. But we're also going to be taking a swipe at the situation in reference of the embattled Ashanti Regional Chairman of the NPP. I'm talking about Bernard Buesiako, popularly known as Chairman Wontumi. He's finally out of the grips of Yoko. Is it the rule of law or is it sheer vendetta? Is it Shylock coming for his pound of flesh? Kojo Ponkroma would suggest that, this is not politics, this is law, but others disagree. We'll be hearing from you as well on this matter, at least we hope so, in the course of the show, the live stream. Share your thoughts with us. And should we activate the phone lines, please be one of those to call. Don't you forget the AM show is proudly sponsored by Waylead Properties. We provide quality housing at an affordable cost and with a flexible payment option. Ladies and gentlemen, Ghana for boys and girls, stick and stay. My name is Benjamin Akakwa. I'll be serving you the news in just a bit. Thank you for sticking and staying with us. Up next, the news. And in our first story, the NPP's Ashanti Regional Chairman, Buesiako, also known as Chairman Wontumi, has finally been released after spending 7 days in the custody of Yoko in a dramatic week marked by legal twists, protests, and political tension. But while he's now free to go home, this may only be the beginning of a long legal battle. This report traces the journey from his arrest to his eventual release.
On Tuesday, Chairman Wontumi was picked up by Yoko personnel, the second legal hurdle in just 1 week after enduring a grueling interrogation by the CID. But barely 12 hours into Yoko's custody, he reportedly fell ill.
My client has been taken to hospital for medical treatment.
That didn't soften Yoko's stance. They pressed on with investigations into serious allegations, including fraud, money laundering, and causing financial loss to the state. Soon after, Wontumi was slapped with a 50 million Ghana cedis bail with 2 sureties to be justified, a decision that sparked outrage within the NPP leadership.
And I believe that this was just set to prevent his timely release.
They claim they couldn't bring him. Here.
2 days later, his legal team scrambled to meet the stringent bail conditions.
We have been able to provide the sureties. That one I can assure you.
But there was a twist. A fresh court application filed by the NPP itself seeking to vary the terms of the bail. That stalled his release once again.
He encountered a challenge. The challenge that needs to be addressed before we can go forward.
By Monday, tension had reached a boiling point. Supporters of the Ashanti Regional Chairman besieged the Yoko headquarters in Accra, demanding his immediate release.
That is what we are going to do. Demonstrations.
This is the tip of the iceberg. They've not seen anything yet.
Eventually, the bail documentation was verified. The court challenge was withdrawn.
We just finished the inspection of the property, so we just have to come, they check the values, and then we're good to go.
But even after 7 hours of growing agitation, tempers flared. The crowd outside Yoko grew louder, more relentless. Then came the moment many had been waiting for. Chairman Wontumi walked free.
Wontumi is out. I mean, it's a legal process. He got bail and he's on his way home.
But his troubles may be far from over. Yoko's investigation is still active, and a fresh docket has reportedly been opened by the Financial Intelligence Center. For Joy News, Faustina Safu.
Well, let's talk presidential royalty, if I may call it that. And President John Dramani Mahama has opened up about his decades-old personal relationship with the Asantehene Wontumi II, recalling cherished childhood memories that date back to their early years in Osu. Speaking during a courtesy visit by the Asantehene to the Jubilee House, he reminisced on the times he used to buy iced cream for the Wontumi and his friends many years ago. Now, beyond the childhood memories, the president also revealed that at a time when he had made up his mind to quit politics, it was Wontumi II who played a pivotal role in convincing him to reconsider and accept to be running mate to Professor John Evans Atta Mills. Presidential Affairs correspondent Maxwell Akpakpa now reports from the Jubilee House.
Politics, as in life, some relationships go beyond official titles and formal handshakes. And in the case of President John Mahama and the Asantehene, Wontumi II, it is built in childhood memories and life-changing decisions. It was during a courtesy call to the Jubilee House that President Mahama offered a rare personal glimpse into his decade-old friendship with the Asantehene.
Little boy growing up in Ringway Estate, Osu. And my father's house was directly opposite Nana Eduhene's house. And so Nana Eduhene's children, Kojobo Chio, Kwame Nkrumah, and all of them were our friends. And Nana Eduhene's nephews that he was bringing up were Ato Ahoy and Kwame Ahoy and all of them. And so they used to come on holidays from school and spend holidays there. And then there was another of Nana's children who used to come and spend holidays. We used to call him Kweku. It turned out to be they were slightly older than us. We were younger. And so they used to send us to buy ice cream and all kinds of things for them. And he used to come during vacations. So later, when I became a minister and we were installing the next Otumfo after Opokuwari died, they installed Nana Osei II. I said, but this is Eduhene, Oye Sefini, Oye Denkoye. Oye Denkoye Asantehene, say she fought me di Asante Akunyana. Then Nana told me a story, and then it fitted the jigsaw puzzle together. Apparently, his uncle sent him to Nana Eduhene's palace to be groomed as a king. And that's why he used to come to Ringway on holiday, because Nana Eduhene was the one who was looking after him. So our relationship goes back to when I was a child.
President Mahama says that at a time when he had decided to walk away from politics entirely, it was Wontumi who stepped in, who spoke to him, guided him, and convinced him to accept the offer to become Professor Atta Mills' running mate.
A special one. The first time, Professor Mills sent Bafo Boni of blessed memory and a team to come and tell me that he wanted me to be his running mate. And at that time, I had made my plans to leave politics. So my response was, no, I won't do it. So later he sent Ato Ahoy and Totobi Kwachi and Kwamina to come and ask me to accept to be his running mate. Again, I said no. And so one day I was in Accra, I got a call. It says, Otumfo wants you in my share. Who am I to refuse? So I got up and went. And when I went, I said, hey, when you say, Professor Bill say, but yeah, na be the chain, na be the vice president, I will say there be. Hey, oh boy. He says, when your country calls you, you can't refuse.
Well, now the Health Ministry has asked the police and national security to provide protection for nursing groups willing to work as the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association begins its nationwide strike demanding implementation of better conditions of service. Now, according to the GRNMA, government has reneged on its promise to implement a collective bargaining agreement signed last year, hence that action. Hannah Odame visited some health facilities and came through with this report.
The nurses are demanding, among others, a 10% Medicare, a new rate for uniform allowance, payment of their 13th salary, and revised rate on call allowance. Some of the nurses who spoke to Joy News off camera at the Adabraka Hospital say they want full implementation of these agreements. At the Accra Psychiatric Hospital, lots of the nurses seen had a strip of the red fabric tied to their wrist. The principal nursing officer, Rejoice Mispa Anaman, expressed displeasure the government has implemented agreements of other health bodies, but has refused to do so for them.
What we are simply telling the government is that we are not happy about what is going on with our profession. We are not happy. We want the signed collective agreement between government and our association implemented. That is what we are asking government to do. Other bodies' agreements have been implemented and they are enjoying it. So we are also telling government to implement what is due us. So this goes to all citizens of Ghana. We are pleading with you. We know some of you are in good positions to push for government to do what is due us. So we are asking you to talk to government to implement what is due us so that we continue working.
At the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, though most of the nurses seen were not in red armed bands, some nurses who spoke off camera pledged to fully abide by every directive given by their executives.
2 years ago, our condition of service was supposed to be implemented, but for some reasons, it was held back. Though we had internal issues as well, the ministries also said there wasn't enough funds to implement it. But it's been 2 years down the line and we see nothing going on, no changes. So we are trying to remind the government and its ministry that our condition of service needs to be implemented.
According to the association, all dialogue efforts have been exhausted, leaving them with no option but to withdraw their services through this series of actions. On Monday, it was the wearing of red bands. If this action yields no response from government, they will proceed to withdraw OPD services on Wednesday. For Joy News, I am Hannah Odame.
Now, in the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi, Clinton Yeboah reports of compliance to the directive as nurses and midwives were seen clad in red bands. But the GRNMA is accusing the Health Ministry of internal sabotage in respect of their industrial action.
The conditions of service was agreed to ensure the welfare of nurses and midwives. And a year after the agreement was made in 2024, implementation has seen some delays. And it is at the back of this that the association is embarking on a roadmap geared towards a strike action. Today, at the Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital, nurses and midwives are in red banner in protest of the delayance. I spoke to the first regional chairman of the association, Femonedu Brempong, however, suspects an internal sabotage of their planned strike. Do you suspect any internal sabotage?
Sure, we are seeing that. You know, the labor law permits freedom of association, and we are having about 5 splinter groups. And the ministry is relying on these people. We don't know what has transpired between them, but from where I'm sitting, I can see that some people might have taken some bribe or taken money. That's why they are sabotaging us. Because what we are fighting for all nurses and midwives in this country. So if these unions are interested in the welfare of their members, why are not joining the strike? Because what you are fighting for is rural incentive allowance. Do they have their members in the rural areas? We are talking about 5% on-call facilitation. Are they having their members who will be on call? These are things that is very, very important. The uniform allowance, they are included in this. So why are they backtracking from the strike action? If they are not taking anything from them, are they in bed with the government? These are questions that we can pose, and they have to come out and answer. Why are they against the welfare of nurses and midwives in this country? It's something that I can't understand.
Monedu Brimpon also says that the association is disappointed in how government is handling this situation. He's therefore admonishing all nurses and midwives to be totally involved in the strike action.
The ministry is not showing any good faith in addressing our issue. He is admonishing the splinter groups to embark on the strike. They are relying on them to
Well, let's stay on health as Upper West Regional Director of Health Services, Dr. Jehoshaphat Inamwine Muzagi, has expressed concern over the continued refusal of critical medical personnel such as nurses and midwives to accept postings to the region, particularly to deprived areas. He noted that the situation not only severely depleted the staff levels, but also increased the workload on the few nurses and midwives who accepted postings to the region. Doc made the statement at the climax of the 2025 Nurses and Midwives Week celebration held in the Wa municipality of the Upper West region. There's more in this report.
Addressing nurses and midwives crammed at the Upper West Regional Secretariat of Nurses and Midwives, Associate Professor of Health Economics at AZD University of Business and Integrated Development Studies, Professor William Anku, highlighted the critical role nurses and midwives play in Ghana's healthcare system and beyond.
Nurses and midwives are the most resilient people, the most compassionate people, and the most skilled professionals, more than the medical doctors, because at the work, it's the nurses we see.
The event also featured an address by Upper West Regional Minister Charles Wonga Pozung, who reaffirmed the government's commitment to improving the welfare of nurses and midwives through better postings, remuneration, and working conditions.
The NDC outlines bold, transformative policies aimed at revitalizing the health sector. They include restoration of automatic posting and timely financial clearance for qualified nurses and midwives to eliminate the current backlog and frustrations among newly trained professionals. Payment of all outstanding arrests and allowances, particularly for rotation nurses, midwives, and trainee nurses. Improved remuneration and working conditions through structured negotiations and institutional reforms.
The issue of low number of nurses and midwives in the region for the umpteenth time was on the front burner, according to the Upper West Regional Director of Health Services, Dr. Josephat Inamwine. He expressed concern over the difficulty in attracting nurses and midwives to the region.
It is no secret that the Upper West region, regrettably, remains unattractive to many nurses and midwives, leading to a substantial number of nurses and midwives refusing postings to the region. This creates a severe rippling effect which directly impact on our staffing levels.
The ceremony concluded with awards for outstanding professionals, with Yahya Salamatu from Wa East named Regional Best Midwife, and Florence Dramani from Jiriba Municipal receiving the overall Best Regional Nurse Midwife Award. Reporting for Dway News, Rafiq Salam. Wow.
Well, from WA, let's head right into business, and we'll start with our currency market for today. Well, let's get into the stories now. And Fitch Solutions has revised its end-of-year forecast of the cedi to dollar rate at 13 cedis from its previous projection of 15 cedis and 50 pesos to one American greenback. It is also forecasting a 12.9% appreciation against the American dollar in 2025. There's more in this report.
According to the US-based firm, its assumption is based on the local currency appreciating by 16% between late April 2025 and the middle of May 2025. This is on the back of higher gold prices. The cedi has appreciated by 16% between late April and the middle of May on the back of higher gold prices, resulting in Fitch Solutions country risk team revising down their end 2025 forecast for the Ghanaian cedi to 13 Ghana cedis to the dollar from the previous projection of 15 cedis 50 pesos to the dollar. Fitch Solutions now forecast that the currency will strengthen by 12.9% over 2025 from 14 cedis 70 pesos to the dollar at the end of 2024. It continued that the stronger cedi will create room for the Bank of Ghana to pivot back to monetary easing. It said, as Ghana is a net importer of key consumer goods including cereals, pharmaceuticals and plastics, a stronger exchange rate will have a disinflationary effect. Fitch Solutions added that it expects the Bank of Ghana to cut the policy rate by a cumulative 200 basis points in the second half of 2025, ending the year at 26.0%.
Now, economist William Savary is urging the government to create a more conducive ecosystem to boost revenue from the tourism sector. In an interview with Joy Business, he emphasized the need to capitalize on available household spaces by developing a structured program that allows tourists to lodge with local residents. According to him, such an initiative could generate significant national revenue while providing additional income for households across the country.
You take somebody who has a house with 3 bedrooms or 4 bedrooms, it's just a husband and a wife. Now, if you assume that in your 1 bedroom the person can rent the house for $100 a night and turn 1 room into a bed and breakfast. The person comes, you provide them with a place to sleep, you give them breakfast, and you charge $100. If that room is occupied for 15 days out of the month, that's $1,500. That's $18,000 a year. If the person has 2 rooms, that's $36,000 a year. What's the average salary in Ghana? So that means with 1 room, with proper marketing for tourism, and proper environment, creating the ecosystem, not only do you increase the revenue in the treasury, but you also increase revenues of individual Ghanaians who would want to be part of the ecosystem the government wants to put together. But again, that requires thinking, requires planning, requires people, requires monitoring and evaluation, requires a lot of elements that comes into play. But creating the ecosystem for people to prosper is the key, is really the point of departure. That's how I will address it. Now, because there is no way in the world that you're going to have the fund required to build 10,000 an additional 5,000 hotel rooms within the next 4 or 5 years or 3 years, unless you have foreign capital come. But you already have the 5,000. You have what, according to our calculation, about 6 million households we said earlier, right? Well, you can 5. You can.
And from there, let's zoom into our commodities market to check out what some of the major commodities are trading for. My name is Benjamin Akakpo. Thank you for staying with me through the news. But up next, we serve you sports. Muftau Nabila Abdullahi will be telling you about the Ghana Football Awards and a lot more. You want to stay for that.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to AM Sports here with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullahi, the Executive Chairman of Nations FC. Dr. Kwame says that he regrets investing in Ghana football following his club's decision to walk away from a Ghana Premier League game against Basake Holy Stars on a Sunday. According to him, it is not worth it investing in the country's most loved sport.
I was not happy with what happened. I have followed football for long, but yesterday's incident was not good. To win the league at the cost of losing lives, then I prefer to lose it. I have regretted getting involved in Ghana football. I have lost the passion for it. We are hoping for a change. If we all sit and only complain about it, then we are not acting right as elderly people.
Dr. Kwame, they're speaking to our sister station, Asempa FM. Now to the Ghana Football Awards, and the nominees have been unveiled. And Thomas Partey, Antoine Semenyo, and Iñaki Williams will be contesting for the topmost prize for this year's Ghana Football Awards. But these are the nominees for the coaches of the year. Let's just go back. We have Kwesi Appiah, who is the coach of the Sudan national team, Kasim Mingo, who is the head coach of Nations FC, and Fifi Parker Hansen, he's also he's a coach of Golden Kicks, and then Frimpong Manso, the head coach of the Biane Gold Stars. So these are the nominees for Coach of the Year. Kwesi Appiah qualified Sudan to the African Cup of Nations despite the war in the country and no club football happening. Nations FC head coach Kasim Mingo, they are currently embroiled in an issue, but they were at the top of the Ghana Premier League table before the incident on Sunday. And Fifi Parker, he is a head coach of Golden Kicks. He's qualified his team to the final of the FA Cup, and they will come up against Mahama-Asantehene in the final. And then also Frimpong Manso, the head coach of the Biane Gold Stars, they're currently sitting at the top of the Ghana Premier League table. Now let's move on and bring you other nominees. The Women's Coach of the Year, we have Abu Kasim. He's a head coach of Police Ladies, leading them to win the Women's Premier League for the first time in their history. Joyce Boate Ajay, she's also the head coach of the Black Damsels, and then Mercy Togo, she's in charge of Oaks FC. And Oaks FC, they have qualified to the Ghana Women's Premier League for the first time in their history as well. And we're done with the coaches now. We'll move on to the other categories. Home-based Football of the Year, we have Razak Simpson of Nations FC, Faisal Chawate, also of Nations FC. We have Samuel Atakumi, Stephen Amankona of Brecum Chelsea, and Rudolph Jr. These are the players who are vying for the home-based Footballer of the Year. From the home-based Footballer of the Year, we'll bring you the Women's home-based Footballer of the Year, and then we'll start with Mercy Beku of Please Ladies, and Stella Nyamiche of Dreams Ladies, Mary Amponsa of Mpimdakwa Ladies, and Annabelle Bansa of Faith Ladies. These are the women vying for the Women's Footballer of the Year, the home one. And then Odate Lamte Future Star Award. Jerry Afriye, he was part of Ghana's team that won the African Games in Accra. He was also part of Ghana's team that participated in the CAF Under-20 African Cup of Nations in Egypt just last month. And then he's in there in contention for the Future Star of the Year. Christiana Ashiako of Black Maidens, and Edmond Bedu of Red Bull Salzburg. So these are the players vying for the Odate Lamte Future Star Award. The female team of the year, we have Please Ladies, champions of the Women's Premier League, Black Damsels, Black Maidens, and Oak Ladies. These are the teams vying for the Women's Team of the Year. The best Ghanaian Chief Executive Officer, Kwame Dankwa of Nations FC, Lydia Danko of Please Ladies, Heart of Lions Chief Executive Officer, Randy Abe, and John Peter Emewu. Randy Abe is the president of Heart of Lions. Peter Emewu is the president of Hohoe United. So in these two clubs, their structure does not include a chief executive officer, including that of Please Ladies. So the only person who is a chief executive officer in this category is a Nations FC, which is Kwame Dankwa. Now let's move on to bring you some more. And the top gong of the night is the Ghana Footballer of the Year, where we have Antoine Semenyo, Thomas Partey, and Iñaki Williams. Two players from the Premier League, one from La Liga. And then we're wrapping up with the African Footballer of the Year, where we have Mohamed Salah, won the Premier League with Liverpool. Achraf Hakimi won the UEFA Champions League. In fact, he's a treble winner with PSG. And Shehu Gracie, he's had an incredible season with Borussia Dortmund. In fact, before they exited the Champions League, he had scored more goals than any other player in the UEFA Champions League for this season. So these are the nominees of the Ghana Footballer of the Year Award. Now let's hear from board member Felix Romac, who has been speaking about how they arrived at these nominees.
It's special because it's another year and it's the 7th edition, and we believe that for the past 6 years it's been good. It is always challenging when you have another year because you want to improve on what you did in the 6th edition. So we are trying to improve last year's award, and that's the reason why this time around we've renamed some categories, like the Thumbs Up to the Football Impact Award. We've brought in Football for Goods Awards as well. So we are looking forward to have a very good year in the 7th edition. You know, we have about 20 categories, but at the official launch we released 16 of those categories. But what goes into it, you know, we have a committee. A committee will do their research on the performance of Ghanaian footballers all over the world, and then the committee will present their work to the board, and the board will go through it, and then they will provide us with the final nominees, and then the Club 100 would vote for the various nominees in the various categories.
Kwesi Appiah, he has been nominated for the Coach of the Year. His assistant is Ignatius Osefosu. He's been speaking about the initiative, describing it as one that will motivate coaches and players.
It's something we should all cherish it, because why am I saying that? Because then you notice that you will be recognized duly if you put in your best. And for me, recognition at this highest level is one of the best for me, for an individual to aspire, not as only a team, because as you aspire to be recognized, then you help your team and it will be wonderful. No, but winning an award does not necessarily mean that you will be in the national team. That should be the point. But one thing I always say is that the value and premium we put on the award must be of high essence. That when somebody wins it, like the Ballon d'Or, it will not come one day. This is the 7th edition. So let's wait. We get to the 10th, the 15th, the 20th, and people will come to know the football hours, and that's for me.
The ceremony will be happening on June 14, and it is a stage where Ghanaian players are going to be celebrated for their contribution to the national team and to their clubs. Now, let's talk about women's football. And Abigail Kim, she plays for the Black Queens. In fact, she got her maiden call-up recently. The team is preparing for this year's African Women's Cup of Nations that will be staged in Morocco next month. And she's already eyeing the ultimate prize of participating in the Continental Women's Football Competition.
Great. They've been really welcoming, and they all seem really lovely and nice.
Okay. What do you really want to achieve with the Black Queens?
I hope the first step is us winning AFCON and then qualifying for the World Cup after that.
We are preparing for the African Cup of Nations. Where do you see the team getting to in the tournament?
I think that if we all work together and follow the coach's instructions, I think we can make it to the final.
Okay. And where in Ghana are you from?
Accra. No, I was born in Liberia.
Do you have family in Accra?
Yeah, my father is Ghanaian and my brother lives in Ghana.
Oh, okay. Your father lives in Ghana?
No, he lives in Liberia.
He lives in Liberia, but he's Ghanaian?
Yes.
Your mother is Liberian?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Have you been to Ghana before?
Yes, I have been to Ghana.
How many times?
Just once.
How was it like?
It was good seeing a family, having that experience. I really enjoyed it.
And you won your league, right?
Yeah, we were the champions.
Yeah, so how was the season for you, and then crowning it and winning the league?
It was a good season. There were some tough games, but we ended up on top. It was great to help my team score a lot of goals and become champions.
Now let's do some golf. And the Johnnie Walker Golf Championship took place at the Achimota Golf Course. And my colleague Ellen Banana Fiamakwa was there and has details in this report.
Hosted by Johnnie Walker Blue Label, the two-day championship brought together 120 golfers from 10 countries alongside industry leaders, tastemakers, and brand partners. With both men and women competing across top-tier categories, the event showcased the growing inclusivity and international appeal of the sport in West Africa. Day one began with a symbolic official tee-off, setting the tone for the weekend of high-caliber golf. The evening concluded with a dinner reception and the mirror ball experience, a signature celebration of luxury, music, and connection. The second day offered another competitive round of fairways, accompanied by live music from Ghana's Honey Grove Band, and concluded with the grand award ceremony honoring standout performers across a range of categories. The tournament marked more than a milestone for Johnnie Walker. It also coincided with Guinness Ghana's 65th anniversary, symbolizing a legacy of excellence and bold character that continues to shape premium experiences in Ghana and beyond. Marketing and Innovations Director of Guinness Ghana, Estella Musito, was happy with the success of the event.
So very excited today on the first edition of the Johnnie Walker Annual Ghana Golf Championship. I mean, we set out a month ago. We talked about why we were going to do this tournament. We said that, you know, we've been a partner of various events on the Ghanaian golf calendar, but we also felt that, you know, Johnnie Walker, it's right about time for us to have our own event, and that's why we say starting this year we'll establish this event. And this year, because it's also special, it's our year when we're celebrating 65 years of Guinness Ghana. So two-day event, we want this to be an annual event, and this is really just the start. A great experience on the course and off the course. And next year, we want to hear more golfers and have more golfers participating, not just in Ghana, but from across the region. Guinness Ghana, we pride ourselves in our amazing portfolio from, you know, Guinness, Malta Guinness, Star Heineken, and our spirits, starting with Johnnie Walker, Don Julio, Smirnoff, and the rest. But you know, with Johnnie Walker, fits very well with our target consumer, our target consumer for Johnnie Walker fits very well with players or people who aspire to play golf and people who play golf. You know, these are people who really aspire for more in life, You know, people who enjoy focus that the game brings, the precision that the game brings, and the sense of achievement. And so we felt this game, this is just right for it.
By marrying sports with lifestyle, the Johnnie Walker Annual Ghana Golf Championship positions itself as a defining fixture on the country's sporting calendar. For Joy Sports, Benaya Elom Dafiameko.
Head on to myjoyonline.com for some more sports stories. The newspaper review comes up next on the AM show.
Welcome back on the AM show. Time now for the news review. Before I announce my guests, don't you forget the AM show is proudly sponsored by Waylead Properties. And of course, they bring you affordable housing, deliver quality, and of course, they give you that spacious surrounding. So let me ask, are you thinking of a rewarding investment you can engage in? Waylead Company Limited is your preferred choice for such an investment. Waylead Company Limited is a real estate company with several developments to its credit right here in Accra. And now they're inviting you to invest in that new development, Willow Lane, where elegance meets tranquility in the heart of Accra. We're providing quality housing at an affordable cost, also with a flexible payment option. And at Waylead Properties, we provide you with 24-hour security, reliable power supply, and other social amenities to make your stay memorable. All you have to do now is note these numbers: 0240 111 119 or 0504 499 999. You can also visit www.waylead.org. Let me also start the review this morning by just saluting some people. In case it escapes me, it's the birthday of Loreth Ajiman or Loreth Jimfi, I should say, and Dr. Joseph Reginald Ajiman. I just want to wish you both a very happy birthday. I'll be doing this again, but lest I forget. Loreth Jimfi, our big baby, and Dr. Joseph Reginald K. Ajiman. Uncle Reggie, happy birthday to you. We thank God for your life. Let me come into the studio now and introduce my guests joining us. The legislator for Kpandai, Matthew Nyindam, joins the conversation. We also have from the NDC's Communications Directorate, Wanda Madilo. I don't know what wonders he's going to be doing this morning, but gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning. Very good morning.
Thank you for joining the conversation. Honorable, it's been a while.
Yes, how are you?
I'm okay. How about you?
I'm good.
How is Kpandai?
Kpandai is doing well. And yeah, that's the rains have started, so we hope that very soon the new yams will come on board.
Yeah.
They're also hoping that there is a certain agenda will get to Kpandai, so that some of our challenges, especially our roads, can be touched on.
What are some of the foremost needs in terms of Kpandai, like the areas that you think you would be calling on the president and sector ministers to address? Roads, health?
Yes.
What is it?
Largely the same challenges. Roads, like you rightly mentioned, employment, which is also everywhere. Then the health sector.
You mean unemployment?
Sure, I mean the unemployment. So employment for the youth, I'm talking about. And then education too is hugely challenged. So I just pray that by the end of these 4 years, at least government should touch on our roads, especially the Salaga-Kpandai road. It's one of the biggest challenges we have so far. And I hope that the contractor will be paid and then he will return to site.
Have you heard of that new initiative where they are trying to get some young Ghanaians export basically these talents and streamline it so that it's not haphazard? You're just trying to go here on your own, whether it's the Gulf states or Europe and all of that, and at least we get some money out of it, kind of like what Cuba has done. Have you followed? Because they say it's going to be in all 16 regions. So.
Yes, I've followed a little. But you know, empowering the youth has been the dream of every politician.
Okay.
And then I am happy to hear some of these things, and I pray that we actually actualize it. It's not just about talking about the policy.
Right.
Because the way to go is not the formal sector. Because there's no way, there's no government that can employ formally every university graduates and making sure that the polytechnic graduates, giving everybody formal employment. But if we try to decentralize it and then we encourage entrepreneurship, we put young men together, give them some financial resources, guide them, redirect their energies, and everybody becomes like, look, I'm creating my own job. It's going to help. And I think that if government has that intention, we are all for it. We all support it whichever way. If it's a policy they are bringing to Parliament, we all see how we can shepherd that particular policy and then help the youth of this country to get employment. It's our dream. Because if one is employed, he can employ another one.
Right.
And we are moving forward.
All right.
Yeah.
Let me now let you have your say, because I sort of thrust this at you, asking about your constituency. What would you like to share with us this morning? You know, we usually give you about a minute and a half.
Yeah.
No, I'm still staying with Honorable Nyenda.
Sorry to share like...
You know, okay, so on the news review segment,
Okay.
I don't know, this may be, we've had interviews, but not on the news review. Right?
Yes.
On the news review, we let you talk about something that is a burning issue for you, something you think is prime up there that you'd like to talk about. Is there anything? If there's nothing to, it's okay.
Well, I'm sure obviously we'll be talking about the OSP, we'll be talking about Wontumi and any other thing. These are topics that are...
These are hot topics for you.
So
All right, we'll get into them. Wanda, for you, I think Ketu South is your strong room, right? How is Ketu South? When last were you there?
Just over the weekend. I came back just this dawn. So yeah. Ketu South, yes. Again, we're calling on the president to again speed up works on our sea defense projects. You know that the people of Salakofe, Agaveji, Amutinu have been screaming for some years now over the devastating effect of the floods. And that has become a huge concern for the people over the weekend. I mean, last week, the waves were higher again and a few houses were lost again. I know that the contractor is being mobilized to go to site, but we just want to be hopeful that these things are done and done as quickly as possible. On that note, I salute everybody, anyone who has made Ketu South proud to date. I know branch executives, constituency executives, the MP, the MC, and everybody that has been involved, all the serial callers that have been involved in that space. We want to thank them unreservedly for the good job they've been doing for all these years.
Thank you for those thoughts, gentlemen. Let's get into the papers now and find out what they are reporting. This time, I'm going to start with the Ghanaian Times newspaper, looking at the papers we have on board this morning, and then I'll cede to you to complete your stack of papers. So, major milestone in Galamsey fight, the Ghanaian Times. Illegal miners flushed out of 8 forest reserves, president reveals. Include kidney check and antenatal care policy. That's according to Professor Che. Then, there is still that call. Whenever I see this, I'll get to it. That Times Needy Fund for our own sister, Agnes Owusu. She has a tumor on her head. The Times has been pushing that. Whenever I see it, I'll push it. Nipa Hiamwa. So kindly donate to the fund. The account number is on the front page of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. It's a UBA Kaneshi or industrial area branch. So you could walk in and say, look, I want to donate to that lady who has a tumor, Agnes Owusu, any UBA branch, at least the Kaneshi industrial area one, or walk into New Times Corporation, North Industrial Area, to donate, or actually, that is the account, New Times Corporation, that's the name on it. Let's save our sister. She has a brain tumor and she requires money for surgery. So she's a budding journalist. UK backs Morocco's Sahara autonomy plan as most credible solution. Abandon borrowed Western mode of fighting corruption, OSP says so. On the back page, Ebenezer SHS cries for infrastructure, and Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints donates 1,000 mattresses to NADBO. So let me start from there. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints on Friday presented 1,000 mattresses to the National Disaster Management Organization to support victims of the Ketu South tidal wave in the Volta region. The items made up of 900 pieces of student and 100 pieces of adult mattresses were part of the church's humanitarian assistance in response to an appeal following the tidal wave that hit the Ketu South area, displacing dozens of individuals and families. Since I have brought that up, and since we've already started the conversation, this issue, the Sea Defense Project, there are many areas in the Volta region that require it. Over the decades, it's been on and off, and sometimes government in, government out. They've not been hands on deck to deal with the situation. NADMO itself often is crippled, and then we have these donations coming in. But it's always post the fact. What can we do differently?
Well, I think
you are in government.
Well, first and foremost, the challenge of NADMO, the mandate of NADMO is not only to mitigate when there are disasters and all that, it's also preventive. But unfortunately, I think we have not been proactive enough in preventing some of these disasters. We are not able to preempt as a body corporate. NADMO is not able to preempt some of these challenges and respond effectively. There have been challenges of underfunding. There have been challenges of personnel. There have also been challenges of unpredictability of the disaster. And so we do understand the challenge of NADMO. I think that in the years back,
for how long can we?
When NADMO was,
for how long shall we play this game? If you know a challenge and you're not solving the challenge, what does that mean?
Well, you know, there are some disasters that are natural disasters. So you call it an act of God. It's difficult to preempt, that. But there are some that are obvious that we can prevent. I think that's where they are failing to deliver. Back on the issue of the Ketu South Sea Defense Project, the challenge we have had over the years, like you said, is a consistency of the development. It's one thing doing just a barrier or a blockade or trying to recover the sea land and all that. But if you see what was done at the Voja areas, where we've had what they call the proper Kita Sea defense, it was more of reclaiming the land. And when the lands were reclaimed, some estates were built, which were meant to relocate people who were dislodged by the tidal waves at the time. Right now, what has happened over the years from Azizaji all the way to Blekusu area is more of just securing the boundaries, the sea coastal line boundaries. And I think that's where part of the problem is coming from. If you are only securing the boundaries, anytime the waves goes high, you are likely to have to scale the boundaries. Like we saw at the beach, the Tema Beach, what's the name? Sakumano Beach area there, something like that was done earlier, and then it scaled the boundary and all that. I think that a more holistic approach will be required in dealing with this challenge. What is also very obvious is that it involves a lot of huge capital investment. I understand the World Bank has a project called the Walker project, and they are trying hard to help the coastal line of Ghana, not only in Ghana, all the other West African countries, Togo, Benin. Something is being done in Benin already. If you go there, they have been able to reclaim about 200 meters of the land from the main road to the land. And it's become even more of a tourist attraction than we can even imagine. So indeed, a lot of things have to be done. Indeed, we expect the government to be more proactive. Again, also the funding issue would also suffice. Also, the residents also would have to give us some bit of backing and support in this regard. Okay. Because what we see sometimes is that when these things are done, we are unable to maintain them and leave a more clean environment for us to operate.
Matthew Nyandam, what do you think about this situation? We've been talking about this thing for decades.
Quite some time, yeah. I think decades. Yes, I don't know.
And NADMO's problems are another, kettle of fish.
Yes, but this problem is bigger than NADMO.
It is.
Let's admit.
It is. And I bring in NADMO in respect of response.
Response, yes.
Not dealing with.
Exactly. Sometimes, like you rightly said, it's financial issues. NADMO is under-resourced. And this country will only do firefighting. It's only when the problem comes that, look, let's all rush in, see how we can solve that problem. Today, if you call the NADMO director and you want to find out how much he has now, not even about money, some kind of materials, you'll be shocked to hear the revelations that he will give you. But I think that, like my brother said, all governments, from His Excellency Rawlings' time up to Kufuor's time, today it is His Excellency John Dramani Mahama's second time, everybody has tried in a way to see how we can solve this perennial problem. It's like the race in Accra here. Very soon we'll start hearing stories from the K2 side.
K2 South, yeah.
K2 South, we hear issues from Greater Accra. But how do we resolve this issue? That's the question you have asked. I have not experienced it directly because I don't really come from that area. I only see it on TV when some of these disasters begins to come. Is it possible that we can resettle some of these communities?
I think that conversation has come up.
Is it possible? If it's possible, it will.
In fact, some of them have been resettled.
Well,
because some of the communities over time have actually been taken over by the waves. Some of them.
Yes,
but you can confirm, right?
Well,
a few of them have literally been taken over.
The resettlement,
the expanse of land versus what is left.
No problem. No, we're having a conversation.
So the resettlement is not yet government owned. Government wanted to do something. I mean, under the MPP, they had secured the land, but they could not finish. I think they finished only 3 of those. But they were building more. I mean, and then we didn't get it. But it's the residents themselves that have made some makeshift structures, right, beyond, some few islands in the lagoon. The topography of that place is such that this is the sea. The people live here, and this is the lagoon.
Yeah.
So they are caught in between the sea and the lagoon. But where the lagoon is, there are spots, which are dry lands, like islands, that the people have moved to. But virtually the sea has been able to erode all the way to this side. Exactly. The road is gone, and then now it's a huge challenge.
And I know what I'm trying to say is that I know some places because I've followed Ivy Setoji, among others have. There are places where people have had to up and leave because it's too dangerous. And they've had to relocate and go and stay with family in other places, totally leave. And it's very inconvenient
it should be a deliberate effort. Like he said, individuals have made effort to relocate. Just like you have also said, it is because maybe some people, they have no choice than to live on their own. But if government can deliberately relocate some people, because it will be more cheaper to do that. And looking at the change in our climate now, it's affecting everybody. So if we don't proactively move, sometime we'll get up and then the stories will continue to be this. I remember some time ago we sat here where even the cemeteries and then we have to go back, remove dead bodies, and it's not a good story. But I think that as a nation, we should plan and plan well. There should be deliberate effort. Those places that we cannot get a very good, what do I say, that kind of a blockage, we should relocate those people. Build better houses for them. And they can, you see, they are not able to move far because that is their living. They go to the sea, that's where they catch their fish, that's why. It's more or less their livelihood. Right. So if we relocate them a bit far, they can come back and do their normal fishing and go back to a better place to sit. Other than that, these stories, we'll keep talking about it. And like you said, it involves a lot of money. To be able to fight this sea, it involves a lot of money.
Let me just add this point. Sometimes as we move away from this subject, sometimes it makes me wonder what it would take for us to not just survive, but thrive. This is a survival issue.
Yes.
At this point.
Yes.
But I cast my mind to other jurisdictions. The UAE, when they were starting under Sheikh Al Maktoum and all of that, they literally, in Dubai, reclaimed land from the sea. Yes. From the sea. Yes. This was not a survival matter. It was a planning projection into the future matter. They reclaimed vast swathes of land from the sea, which today will be asking Dubai. How do they do it? Do you get it? But this is more of a survival issue. I've seen the desert where, I don't know whether it's I've forgotten the part of the world where it is, and they are planting certain hardy, sturdy plants in such a way that it is changing the soil, the nature of the soil there. And these lands that were pure desert are becoming arable land. And this is a common issue, it's a survival issue, and we still can't deal with it.
Yes, we still can't.
It gets so frustrating.
You see, Mother Ghana, we have a lot to do. And somebody will tell you that, you see, because we don't struggle to survive, we don't really think. It's easy to get whatever you want.
It's also disrespectful to intelligence.
No, it is a fact. Are you getting me? You are talking about Dubai. Today we are exporting tomatoes from Burkina Faso. Look at our land and look at Burkina Faso.
Importing, yeah.
Sorry, we are importing tomatoes from Burkina Faso. Why are they doing better than us? They are seriously challenged.
And in fact, your area, Pandai.
Yes, Pandai.
You can do a whole lot in tomatoes.
We can do a whole... There's nothing that we cannot produce in Pandai. The land there can produce virtually everything. But we are not able to do it because you get up today and you can easily get food to eat. You are not hungry. That passion is not there. So I agree with you that people are doing so well, like Dubai, countries that are fully desert, people are making it. But unfortunately, we have everything here and we are not able to turn certain things around. I agree with you, but there's always the first time.
Well,
there's always the first
They say
time.
in other parts of the world,
Yes.
like in Israel, before, I've forgotten his name, it's a G name. It was all rocks and all that. But look at what they've done in agriculture and tech and all of that.
And the
in other parts
exports.
of the world, it's all cold, very little time to plant and all of that. Indeed, some people say that because we are blessed with so much, sometimes
That's my problem.
we forget.
Yes.
But we have a system.
Briefly on this so we can move to other stories.
We have a system challenge. One of it is that our land tenure system is a huge concern. In Dubai, in Israel, and Co. that you mentioned, all lands belongs to the state. You buy from the state, you do your documentation from the state. Here in Ghana, somehow, some way, lands are in the hands of families, in the hands of individuals, and then partly in the hands of government. I recommend
But
that
in a
if
way,
government,
I
if
would
government
dispute
really,
that it is
if
in
government,
the hands of government.
if government
Everything
really,
is vested in the president.
I do
yes,
agree.
They
If
have
government wants,
alluvial titles and all of that.
of course. If
it's-
government wants a
it's vested
certain
in-
land, and they will have to go for it.
Exactly.
And I'm saying that one of the things government has to do is the whole coastal belt, acquire the whole coastal belt. Then you can be able to have a proper planning in place. Because what you see, even in our own Labadi here, is that there are people who feel they are entitled to the lands they have within the coastal belt. Obviously not into the sea, but within the coastal belt. And so if you want to develop that place, you would have to give them compensation. They are not agreeing to move and all that. So government will have to go in and get some of these things done.
All right.
Then it's easier to do the kind of development you want to do and attract the right investments.
All right. Let me do a number of stories and get your reactions. Illegal miners flushed out of 8 forest reserves, President reveals. And the government has successfully flushed out illegal miners from 8 of 9 no-go forest reserves, President John Dramani Mahama has reported. In his view, this is a major milestone in the country's fight against illegal mining, that menace known as Galamsey. Addressing the Global Mining Summit in Accra on Monday, June the 2nd, 2025, President Mahama said government was unwavering in restoring the purity of polluted water bodies, restoring depleted forest reserves, and reclaiming degraded lands. According to him, the small-scale mining sector holds a major place in Ghana's development if properly harnessed. And of course, we know the contribution of small-scale mining to our gold kitty year on year. I don't have the data before me, but it's huge, their contribution. My only question is it as rosy as the president paints the picture? Because there have been times where these things have been said, and yet Erastus Asaridonko and others go and things are not exactly, I mean, something has been done, but maybe not the whole bit about totally free. Because sometimes they say it today, in a few days' time, people are back there. GSS equips 240 trainers for business establishment survey. The Ghana Statistical Service has completed the training of trainers for phase 2 of the Integrated Business Establishment Survey, that is IBIS 2. It is a survey to collect data on all the business establishments in the country. Held yesterday in Winneba, the workshop equipped 240 national and regional trainers with the technical skills and tools required to support a field operations for one of the most critical economic surveys in the country. And of course, speaking there was the government statistician, Dr. Alhassan Idrisu. Then the third story, and then I'll end there for now. Include kidney checks in antenatal care policy. Professor Chase says so. So the head of the Department of Surgery, University of Ghana Medical School, Professor Matthew Kwame Yamwache, has underscored the need to include checking for kidney disorders in antenatal care policies at healthcare facilities. Such a move, he said, will not only help in the early detection of kidney cancers among pregnant women in the country, but also reduce the rate of kidney cancer-related deaths. And he said this when he delivered a lecture at the University of Ghana, Legon, on Thursday on the topic, Naked but Not Ashamed, revealing for good outcomes in the management of genitourinary disorders. But let me add to that, on the back of our Hotline documentary, Bleached Babies, The Cost of Beauty, because when you do this bleaching and the rest, sometimes what you get is diabetes that, when I say gets, please understand me, that is difficult to deal with. And then you get the non-communicable diseases, including kidney-related issues. And the babies, we are preparing them for this, kidney-related issues. I'll start with you, Matthew, your reflections on these stories.
Yes.
So illegal mining and what the president is saying, the Ghana Statistical Service training, and kidney checks.
Yes, but I think that, like you rightly said, I've watched some of your documentary on this bleaching thing. I think that it should be a crusade and an education as well.
How handsome and lovely you're looking with in your black.
Yes, black is beauty.
Wonderful.
But
colors.
I love fair ladies. Honestly. That I'm not.
So you're part of the problem.
I'm not part of the problem.
You know why? I'm just teasing.
I'm not part of the problem.
Some of the ladies we spoke to say that,
Yes.
but the men too, it appears they have a tendency to
there are other guys too that are interested in the black ladies. I'm a black guy, so obviously I should change. There must be some blend.
A blend.
Are you getting me? So the fair guys will also have some kind of taste. I get what I'm saying. Okay. But what I'm saying is on a more serious note, so that I'm not taking out of a...
Right.
Sure. So, you see, it's not about forcing yourself to be fair.
Right.
That's where the problem is.
Okay.
You have to go and buy it from the market. That is wrong.
Right.
Introducing your child, tender age, start using this kind of creams. So immediately the child grows up, automatically, the child has already developed some taste for that kind of and the consequences, in fact, people really don't know the consequences. Most people don't know the consequences of what they are doing. And that is where I am talking about. You doing a proper education and waging a war against this kind of attitude. If we don't, like you said, look, kidney problems is now rampant. It's not like before, where you hear one or two. Now, if you go to the hospitals,
everywhere
is there. So,
and even the cost of dialysis
is so expensive. So sometimes we should not go to the market and buy some of these problems for ourselves. If we can control it. So I think that it's a good call. Now, with regards to the Galamsey and matters arising, Galamsey, like I will always say, is a national fight. Although, some time past, people talk that it must be only for the government to fight. But I think that it is a national canker because the effect of Galamsey on everybody is huge. I will be happy one day to hear from your reporter, Erastus, about the successes of the fight against Galamsey, but not from politicians.
Right.
You see, the way the president spoke, I do not have other facts to contradict.
You don't have contrary evidence.
What he is saying. But some few days ago, I saw what Erastus reported.
Right.
Some few months ago, we saw the Minister for Lands crying. We all saw it. But if just for a space of time, the President is saying that we've been able successfully to clear illegal miners from 8 forests.
Out of 9.
Out of 9. I have difficulties in this. But we are not ready to politicize it. We are saying that, look, you remember the call that such areas should be declared, emergency should be declared in such
state
areas.
Of emergency. Right.
State of emergency. Such that individuals do not get the opportunity to enter into this forest. I also heard him talking about water gas and all those kind of ad hoc.
The Blue River Guard.
Yes, these things that we've all tried it and it has not helped us. But Galamsey is a fight that must be fought with all hands on deck.
Okay.
Because it is our interest.
Right.
It is not the interest of the president or the NDC. It is our interest because the consequences do not discriminate. It doesn't matter whether you are an MPP or you are an NDC. If you are going to drink polluted water, everybody in that community is going to drink polluted water. And I think that they should also work closely with the chiefs. Sometimes the chiefs too, they give us a lot of problem when it comes to the fight against galamsey. Like he rightly said, who owns the land in this country? The chief says, I am the owner, I am the custodian. This is my land. This is what I've asked the people to do. Sometimes it's difficult. Right. So that's a little, I would say. Well, for the statistical service, it's good to have data.
Right.
You can only develop as a nation when you have proper data. If you don't have data, your planning and your everything doesn't really click. So it's good they are working on this. Get us proper data, verifiable data, so at the end of the day, the government can also plan and plan well.
All right. Wonder, some of these people who bleach are even using, Parazone. And some are using, I found out, I even forgot yesterday. You know the hair cream?
Yes.
The one they used to perm their hair.
Yes.
They use that and mix it with all kinds
Parazone.
of... Imagine what this does to your skin. But anyway, do you also like light-skinned ladies?
Many years ago.
Answer the question. Do you
Many
like light-skinned
years,
ladies?
I like it the way God has created me.
You like it the way God has created
Anyhow God has created, I like
No, but we have two.
But what are we talking about ladies?
We are not talking about ladies, we are talking about bleaching.
Do you like light-skinned ladies? I'm not saying bleached ladies.
No, I like what God gives me.
Whatever God gives you. You are avoiding some problems later.
No, the wife is very fair. So he's
well, it reflects what he is.
Anyway, you continue.
No, bleaching. I think bleaching, we have slipped again as a country. Many years ago, 1992, 93, Rawlings waged a war against bleaching. In fact, in his public pronouncement, he would talk about it. In fact, and then I'm going to mention product names. We used to have something called...
Let's avoid that for
No,
now.
they were actually banned in the days past. These Abidjan
We don't have the
creams.
mercury and hydroquinone, but just for the sake of...
Let me leave that out. So these Abidjan creams and all that, they were banned at certain point
still going
in our development process and all that.
Right.
But you see, somehow, some way, it's beginning to find its way into our country. Of course, the intercultural interactions are also to be blamed for some of these things. But we should consciously... Food and Drugs Board should consciously, Standard Board should be consciously be regulating some of these inflows into our country. And we should be able to, it's just like the Unim Red kind of thing. This has been with us for all these years.
Right.
Unim Red, we are just finding out what it is today. But you can't imagine what skin cancer is like when you bleach. You can't imagine all the drugs they take, affecting their liver, their kidney just to bleach. We've seen this happening over and over, and I think that it's a time for the regulation bodies to step in and stop some of these things before it gets out of hand. Right. And that's worrying. On the GES training, I am always very skeptical when Statistical Service decides to do something. I don't know why, but I have seen some of their models that they use in collecting data, and I feel it's outdated and it's neither here nor there. You have a regulatory body like the Ghana Registrar General's Department that registers businesses, and you give them their TIN numbers or PIN numbers or whatever you want to call it as a business. The owners of those businesses are known. Details of those businesses are captured. They have their phone numbers attached to the registration document. Now you have a whole state institution that's going to spend so much money now training some 240 trainers who will go on the field trying to collect, collect data on these businesses and all that. I think that sometimes our approach in collecting data may be faulty. Okay. Now, on the real issue of collecting of the data, this could have been made possible by just getting the details of those who registered businesses in the last few years or whatever. And then the database, you can follow up. Because there are some businesses that operate in the night. We call them the night market. Where would these 240 people be to collect data on some of this information? So indeed, we need to find other ways to complement the structural form of collecting data. Finally, on galamsey, I can report to you that just over the last week, a few things have happened. The IGP has ordered some operations in the galamsey space. 38 suspects were arrested in separate raids in Wassa, the DSO, Wassa, Japa, Akrokeri, DSO.
Are you speaking of the 49? Are you speaking of the 49?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, they were arrested. Again, There was a police operation in Huniso near Takwa in the Western region. Some 13 suspects were also arrested in that regard. Police also raided another illegal mining operation in settlements around Akrokeri, close to Obuasi in the Ashanti region. We've also had the one that happened around the Asaribediako Senior High School. Some explosives were being used by miners or galamseers in trying to get their goal. That has also been stopped. Okay. The IGP also, through the Ashanti Regional Minister, Ashanti Regional Commander, also invaded some other 200,
so quite a lot is being done.
A lot is being done within the space. And so rest assured, the NDC is committed to fighting this galamsey business.
It's not about me resting assured, it's about Ghanaians.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying that rest assured because you see, it's a continuous process. Even the 8 that has been captured now, that we have taken over now, there need to be a continuous monitoring. Otherwise, they are going back into your business.
Both of you are saying the same thing, but in the end, galamsey is so palpable. You go through certain parts of the country and it is there. It stares you in the face. I think all we are saying is if the right things are done and Mother Nature starts regenerating itself, it will be obvious for everybody to see. And that's what we are basically saying. So the talk is good. You are doing this, you are doing that. Yes, we appreciate that. But if the things start yielding results, it's the results we want. We're tired of the talk. That's basically it.
No,
let me just wrap with these stories quickly. Wontumi withdraws bail variation application from court. We know that now he's a free man on bail. Public caution against GI's recruitment scam. The public has been advised to disregard. And some of you who go on these things on Facebook and the rest and you think it's official, I don't know. I'm not saying they don't have portals because the Ghana Police Service, for example, is active on Facebook and stuff. But check. There's this website, especially in the website golearnershub.com. They're advising you, don't go and let some fraudulent person take your money and you'd be in trouble. UK backs Morocco's Sahara autonomy plan as most credible solution, and the United Kingdom says it considers Morocco's autonomy proposal submitted in 2007 as the most credible, viable, and pragmatic basis for a lasting resolution of the dispute over the Moroccan Sahara, a communique between the UK and Moroccan government has said. If you know the story, you would know how long this has been. Nigeria floods, more than 700 believed dead in Mokwa, which also reminds me of the story about Ghana. The Bantama legislator, Francis Asenso-Boakye, has been speaking about the issue. He says flooding is a national crisis. And it reminds me, today is June the 3rd. And you remember some 10 years ago, June 3rd, 2015, what happened? The rains pounded Accra, that filling station exploded, and some people died. Others were scarred until today. They are still suffering. So this flooding situation, when are we going to get it sorted out? The power of personal branding, why every leader needs one. This is an interesting bit by Margaret Cassandra Cato. She is a chartered marketer. I just saw a snippet of it and thought it was important to highlight it for you. And there was this story. Reduce excessive dependence on central government funding, Eastern Regional Minister urges. And this is a reality, BBR government, which is true. But are there things that some communities can do for themselves to accelerate development? If you have any quick thoughts, they must be very quick because I want to get into your papers. Matthew, any thought on any of these things I've made mention?
Yes, the first issue I want us to all talk much about has to do with this fake recruitment
scams.
In fact, people are being milked. Young men, innocent of whatever reason.
And women.
Or is it too much ambition? Or, look, you go down there and people tell you there are protocol forms. They are told that these forms are sold. This is protocol. And these scammers, they are just cheating these vulnerable, energetic young people. And when you keep advising them, they do not want to even take what you are telling them. Let me use this particular forum to let young men know that recruitment is not done on social media. It's not done on social media. And these scammers have succeeded. Every prominent person in this country, they've been able to fake a Facebook account or whatever for you. And they chat these young boys, young ladies, and collect, look, huge sums of money. Please, young men, recruitment is not done on social media.
Right.
They should disregard some of those things.
Thank you.
Yeah, on the recruitment,
on
the recruitment, I've had people come to my inbox and say, "Oh, there's recruitment going on. Help me!" And you go check, and it's neither here nor there. It's non-existent. So it's a worrying trend. You see, and again, this scam industry would have to be looked at again. I thought that by our digitalization drive, our Ghana card, and all this stuff would have ended some of these things. But you see, every day you see on MTN somebody selling data, and one pack is for this and for that, and all that is scam.
And
you
all
go, you see recruitment scams, and people are falling for it. I think that we need to crack the whip on some of these.
What do we do? More education? NCCE?
More education. Ghana
what
Education Service must also up their game. Ghana Police Service must also up their game in the arrests and all that, because it's becoming too much. People are swindling people. You hear somebody call you and say, "I'm calling from We Power. I'm calling from Ghana Gas. I'm doing this, and we are buying some items. We wanted to buy it for us." It's becoming too much.
Yeah, someone called me on that. I found it funny.
Very ridiculous. They want to give you somebody to go and buy it from, and people have been scammed. Huge monies, in that regard. MTN, not Vodafone, Telecel, and Airtel, Tigo, they should collaborate with the police in arresting some of these people.
All right, thank you.
Yes, but I think that the telecos are not helping us. I think that they are not helping us.
But to be fair to them,
because they are using their platform.
They put in place stringent
measures. No, but they are using their platforms.
They
are using their platforms.
No, we have to be careful when we say they are using
not helping.
their platforms. If someone decides, I'm going to type, and I even see it sometimes, on our live feed, someone has sent, I am selling data, MTN data, bundle this and that. How do you expect MTN or Telecel or something to control that? How do they control that?
You know something? We are here to meet NCA. We are meeting some of these telecos. And there must be a proper marriage between these two people to be able to help us solve it. Because we've registered SIM cards with our Ghana cards. Because it is believed that without a Ghana card today, you cannot register a SIM card.
Right.
So the data of this man and myself, they are all in the hands of the telecos. How come that somebody can scam and then you are not able to trace, to arrest such an individual? How?
But
what kind of
sometimes
country are we
able
talking about?
To trace. You remember the issue
How many are
of
they?
the kidnapping and a few people.
That one is about the
they were able to
kidnapping.
trace from Ghana, get the Ghana culprit, reach out to the Nigerian
kidnapping
authorities,
is a higher
arrest.
crime. Kidnapping is a higher first-class crime.
But I'm talking about they used the same Momo transaction, phone numbers and stuff to get the people.
So why are we not getting them? Why are we not getting them? And this thing is like, it's common. Today, if you just step out, somebody will just call immediately. This thing we are talking about. Oh, Honorable, you've given me somebody's number that I should pay this amount of money. And some, unfortunately, pay the money before even calling you. And this is, they are just there. They are being sold at the market.
A very obvious one
is
the pizza joints we have.
Finally.
Our pizza joints we have in this country. If you ever go online and Google, let's say, one of them, and a number comes up and you are quick to deal with them.
You pay money for the wrong person.
It's happened to me before.
And then sometimes you talk to them and they tell you, we reported you to MTN several times. We reported you to Airtel Tigo several times. Nothing is being done. So those are the obvious ones we think that they should.
I remember back then, I only did it because the person was in a hurry, and it was a small sum. I think it was
you were lucky you didn't pay much.
If it were a bigger sum, I would have. But I thought, and indeed, I went to the place, the outfit, and they told me that, they've reported on that number. And I said, you have to do more to pull some of these things down. So then I took some correct numbers, and it is a reality. Let's get into. Let's do one paper from Honorable Nyindam, and then I'll come to you for your paper. You have the overseer.
Yes. That MPP enriches foreigners than party loyalists. Cement on Wontumi's bail. Patients sue hospital over CCTV cameras in consulting room. Gold ball sanitizes gold sector. Yields 2.7 billion in exports. President John Dramani Mahama. Don't disappoint Mahama, Otunfo cautions government appointees. Then OSP rejects Ken Ofori-Atta's sentence. Redeclare him wanted. Wontumi bill turns campaign platform for MPP flag bearer aspirants.
That's a plethora of stories. Would you like to quickly reflect on any of them or give us details of one or two, the prominent ones? I heard something about the MPP. You said the MPP what?
Wontumi Bilton's campaign platform for MPP flag bearer aspirants.
Yeah, and then there's the earlier one you said about not supporting.
Yes, MPP enrich foreigners than party loyalists.
It's your party. Would you like to delve into it?
I don't have facts about
Can you
this.
read? You can read the page is there.
This is page 3.
Okay. Just a quick look at it so we can know what it says, the details.
Renowned media personality Samuel Atta Mens, popularly known as Sames, has slammed Ghanaian political parties, accusing them of enriching foreigners, while sidelining loyal members who worked to bring the party to power. His comment comes in the wake of the arrest of Bernard Antwi-Bosiakun, the Asante regional chairman of the New Patriotic Party, popularly known as Chairman Wontumi. He was picked up by the Criminal Investigation Department, CID, on the Tuesday, May 27th, and later transferred to the Economic and Organized Crime Office, YOCO. Despite being granted bail on Wednesday, May 28th, Wontumi remains in custody due to what the party officials have described as stringent and punitive bail conditions. Wontumi was given a 50 million bond with 2 sureties, owing properties of equivalent value. On Tuesday, May 29th, minority members of parliament marched from parliament to the YOCO headquarters in protest, demanding Wontumi's immediate release. Dressed in symbolic red and black attire, the MPs blocked the agency entrance and vowed to remain overnight in solidarity with minority leader.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's the story there. Would you like to do the other one so we reflect on them?
Which, the one you asked?
There was a second one on...
Yes, that's what I'm looking for. Wontumi, page 4.
Okay. You'd have to turn to the next page.
The next page. Wontumi Bilton's campaign platform for MPP flag bearer aspirants. The 50 million bail placed on New Patriotic MPP Ashanti Regional Chairman Bernard Antwi-Bosiakun, popularly known as Chairman Wontumi, has evolved into a rally point for prominent figures within the party, each of whom is eyeing the MPP 2028 flag bearership slot. Chairman Wontumi was arrested on Tuesday, May 27th.
Okay, so
yes.
my apologies. I think we know. We've seen Dr. Brian Echampong,
yes.
and we've seen some messages out there. We've seen Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and
exactly.
Others pivoting. How do you feel about it?
I don't think that it is a platform for campaign. I don't think so. Yeah. It's a show of concern. Okay. And it's normal. The arrest of Chairman Wontumi, which I think, the whole drama was needless, honest, if you ask my opinion. Okay. I call it needless because this is a man that was already obeying the laws of this country. He subjected himself to the CID, and if Yoko needed him, he would have done the same thing.
Right.
But the kind of arrest that was meted out to him at the gate, I thought it was needless. And secondly, to place a bail of 50 million Ghana cedis, we thought was quite high.
Why? He's accused of money laundering. He's accused of illegalities on many fronts.
If you listen
why do you think it's high?
If you listen to lawyers, bail conditions are not supposed to be punitive. Okay. It is just a surety,
right,
that individual will not abscond from this country. So it is not supposed to be like we are going to make sure that you are not able to get. And look at the number of days it took for somebody to be able to raise that surety for Wontumi.
Yeah, but the sureties, they don't mean bring us 50 million
value,
Ghana cedis. That's not what it means.
We are talking about the value.
Right.
We are talking about 2 sureties,
But eventually they got them, but there were certain processes that had been triggered.
I'm just talking about the number of days.
The withdrawal of the bail variation and all
that one. When was that? The bail, the variation was actually the motion was on Friday, around 3 something. So I'm just saying that
just a quick one though. The whole bit about is it Gary Nimakon on one end and the Apia Kubi on the other end,
yes.
and I did this, someone has come to do that, and then it has turned the whole thing on its head.
I don't think that is...
Why was that?
You see, I don't think that... It was a communication error. I think that they were not communicating proper. That's what I would say. Because I listened to Gary...
And in fact, Godfrey Yeboah-Dame will also come in at some point.
Yes. After Godfrey's time, he walked in. He walked in when all of us were there. He walked in. But back to the point. The 50 million Ghana cedi value, we thought was too high.
Did you think it was too high with Woyome? Woyome's was 52 million. And I don't know whether 54. It's Atuesian or Atuforsen.
Yes.
Atuesian. It was Atuesian. It was up to about 200 million.
Yes, 200 whichever. All these base conditions are not supposed to be punitive. Okay, it is at the back of that Sammy is talking about. We enriching foreigners more than our party loyalists, which means that we were struggling.
Right.
We didn't have individuals who could raise that money. And you saw the rich or the businessmen in our party. Kennedy Ajapong went there to try to do his bit, but unfortunately, if you listen to the lawyer, he said all the sureties he brought were incompetent because he didn't register them, he didn't do a lot of things.
Yeah, so the incompetence will not necessarily, it may not necessarily mean that these people don't have.
That is exactly what I'm saying, that he did not register them.
Exactly. That, but there are
issues. He did not register them
exactly.
and all those things. And other persons also came on board until Brown came, and in his case, he was able to register them and met the conditions that the people were looking for. So I think that it was needless. As a country, this is not the only way we can get justice for the people of this country.
Are you concerned, though, if Wontumi has done something that falls foul of the law? Are you concerned about it?
I'm sure the law is yet to deal with Wontumi on that regard.
Right.
Because now that he's been granted bail, we are looking forward that he will be sent to court. Right. And that has been our call. That if the person is not even meeting the bail conditions, why not process him to court?
Right.
Because it is the court that will find him guilty. For now, it is the public opinion that is finding him guilty.
But bottom line, his rights must also be protected.
Exactly. That was our call. We must respect the Wontumi's rights. And we must... You see, it's not about Wontumi. You've given several examples here. Okay? So we think that going forward, if we are resetting, then some of these bail conditions should not be too high for individual to meet.
Wanda, I beg you, you have to be brief because I know you want to delve into the Ken Ofori-Atta and it is linked. It's either you do that story and link it or...
No, how do you know that I want to do? But, bail conditions are determined based on the gravity of the issue.
Indeed.
I mean, if you have been given a project allegedly for over $45 million and at the time the exchange rate was some 15 Ghana cedis per dollar, you should see the value involved in the alleged crime.
Right.
And so I don't think the bail condition is excessive.
Right.
He was only asked to produce 2 sureties and then, 50 million, to be verified. So the MPP rather themselves put themselves in this chaos. Why? Because when even Yoko was ready to grant bail, they had discovered that there was already an application pending. Which application must be determined before the bail conditions will be, granted and giving them bail as it were. So if he says lack of communication, we are at a loss. Why? Because you have a lawyer who was on the case for Wontumi. If somebody else wants to file a different application, you would have to speak to the person. At least speak to either the suspect or speak to the lawyer in question. That wasn't done. I think that was a challenge on their side.
Okay, so quickly
I'll do my papers. Ken Ofori-Atta declared fugitive again. Wontumi's jail menu, no hunger strike, feared MPP poison plot. He was taking 4 eggs in the morning, 3 eggs in the afternoon, and a very good salad in the evening, which I think was fine. GIS blows whistle on fake recruitment scam. Mahama fires warning shots.
So we've treated a host of them.
Yeah.
I don't know which story, but let's
I think that you have already pushed me into that, but I will do 2.
No, I'm not pushing you into anything. It's what you were going to do anyway. Go ahead with your story.
I wasn't going to really bother everybody. No, Ken Ofori-Atta's situation, I think, is something we should all learn from.
Right.
You don't take states, institutions for granted. These are investigative bodies with the mandate to do their investigations without let. However, I think that the conduct of Ken Ofori-Atta and his lawyers have been more of, it will anger anybody within that space. where you ask for some respite, we give it to you. We're not entitled to. I mean, we're investigating a criminal issue. They are not entitled to listen to your whims and caprices and all that. But they were magnanimous, and granted that.
Let me just intervene. The law allows for virtual interactions on some of these matters. And he says he has a biopsy report. Did you listen to the OSP?
I did.
He says he has a biopsy, report and all of that. And I listened to, Frank Davies yesterday. Some of his assertions were interesting, curious though. But he says, look, if the person, I am not well, I can't come into the jurisdiction. Why are you forcing me into the jurisdiction?
So you see, you have preempted this by saying that the law allows for virtual.
The law does allow it.
The very first
specific conditions.
Exactly. Are those conditions met? No. And in this case, the OSP says, we have given you all the laxity, all the time to go take that decision. Even you wanted to come back somewhere around March 20-something, and the OSP says, take some more time. Come in May. And you agreed. And the OSP's agreement is that if indeed things have changed, as we have agreed, you should be honorable enough to communicate. And again, if you don't communicate, you don't blame me for a decision I take that you did not communicate to me. Right. The OSP was very magnanimous. They removed him from the list prior to this time. And then all of a sudden this shows up. Does it mean that Ken has been in bed all this while? Because if indeed the time that he gave was not going to work, another time was available, he could have done it even earlier than they asked for. So I don't think this is an issue to worry.
Pick the thought of Honorable Nyindam on that. He was due to have a surgery. Apparently, that surgery never happened, and the communication was not given to the OSP. Let me something interesting I found out. Both President Mahama and Ken Ofori-Atta were born in the same month, in the same year. I just realized, the president was born on November 29, 1958. Okay. Ken Ofori-Atta was born on the 7th of November, 1958. They are both
Which means that Ken is 1 day older than him?
No, it's about some 22 days.
22 days.
22
older
days, less
than
His
Excellency John Dramani Mahama.
But the OSP has put him back on Interpol's list. There's a red alert for him. His possible locations per what the OSP has put out there: United States, United Kingdom, South Africa, Guyana, Hong Kong, or the Cayman Islands. And the OSP also says, listen, this is a criminal matter, not a civil matter. We are not going to mollycoddle you. And in fact, even a former president, and he was referring to current President Mahama on the Airbus issue.
Yes.
We invited him, and he physically had to deal with us. Now he says, even if a former president did that, how much less, a former finance minister? And he poo-poos the biopsy report and says it means literally nothing.
You see, I don't know what the OSP wants to achieve. Like I said, nobody will support crime. Me, Matthew, I don't support crime. But if you decide that you always want to have your case in the public opinion, it doesn't help anybody. At what point will you declare somebody wanted or fugitive of justice? I listened to OSP. I listened to everything that he said. I also listened to Frank Davies. I've listened to renowned lawyers. Even assuming without admitting that Ken decide to come today and decide that, look, I've come to OSP, I'm not going to talk. Will the OSP force Ken to talk?
Well, the law will take its course from there.
Exactly. The point is that you are going to prosecute the person, and it is the court that you are going to do that. It is not you, the OSP, who is going to prosecute him. You are just going to prepare your docket and forward him to the court. So whether the person is physically present or not, you still have all it takes to do that. Now you tell us that this man is fugitive of justice, but you admit that the lawyers have written to you 6 days ago that this man will want to have this virtually done, and giving reasons why the man said he will not be able to appear. And you said the man is wanted. I don't understand. Common sense, I don't understand. And the first attempt, the first declaration, Ken and his lawyers have sued him on this same matter.
Right. He's gone ahead.
Is that not the case?
Right.
It's in court, and the court is here to determine. Today, he's gone back again to declare him wanted.
The OSP also has its powers, and some would say he's been magnanimous in also engaging Ken Ofori-Atta.
Will that bring out the alleged money, that or all the charges that he's
He says
leveled against him.
If you will not come willingly, we'll drag you to the country. That's the suggestion.
No, it is not about him dragging him to the country. Even if Ken comes today, OSP is not clothed with the powers to find him guilty.
I mean, he has some level of prosecutorial.
No, yes, he cannot. He just has to go to the court.
Right.
And it is the court that would, competent court, or it's not just any court,
right?
Competent court of jurisdiction that will find him guilty.
Are you suggesting special prosecutor?
No, it's not the court. Special prosecutor, it is not.
No.
It is not the court.
I'm just asking you a question. Are you suggesting he is incompetent?
That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
Because in the first place, it's not a court.
Right.
He is supposed to assist, unravel some of these rots that he alleged, go to court for the court to determine whether that person is guilty. Until the person is found guilty by the court, he's still innocent as myself and you sitting down here.
Right.
So for you to go to the public and always this drama, it doesn't help us. Me, I'm not a lawyer anyway, but I've listened to lawyers and I think that the OSP will do all of us a favor. Me. Per the work and per the act, he will do all of us a favor. But focusing on his core mandate. And at the end of the day, we'll all praise him.
All right.
Yesterday,
let
me say something. A little on this. You know, he talks about the GES scandal too. He mentioned something on GES.
So the scandals, the Petroleum and Minerals Revenue Assurance, electricity, contract termination, National Cathedral, ambulance deal,
yeah,
DRA,
this one,
tax P fund.
This one has to do with...
and a few others.
But yesterday, there was an issue that he mentioned, he triggered, concerning some people who have given out appointment letters under GES, and he's been able to recover some of those monies. Although he warned that we should not be much interested about the quantum,
right?
But we should be interested about the fight against corruption.
Right.
And that's what we are interested in.
Okay, thank you. Just do me a favor, give me the headlines in the other paper. Just give me the headlines, nothing more. Any topical ones we've not looked at yet.
Yes, stay resolute in anti-corruption fight. Domahine urges Mahama as AU Advisory Board against corruption visit Ghana. Then team resetting Ghana, reflection on June 4th. Then government affirms commitment to include governors. Nana Oye Bampo Ado. Then Nungwa Jache vindicated in Jasiche vindicated in Ramsar site land claims. The MPA boss admonishes Africa, we must own the future of our gas.
Okay.
Then just in 4 months, Ghana has earned 2.7 billion through Gold Board initiative. Mahama.
All right.
I think this is what we have here.
Anything else you
just
briefly?
I'm very interested in this story. Democratization of legal education in Ghana and national imperative, not a privilege. Honorable Dafiamokbo advocates for reform.
Not everyone agrees with him. A former director of, not on everything.
Yeah, but I think that he is talking about expanding access.
But they need to do something about the legal education.
They need to do something. We are very excited. Yeah. We're very excited for this.
They need to do it.
Let's expand it.
They need to open it. It's too close.
Yeah. If not, we'll have the situation of medical doctors in this country where only very few are turned out. And
Reverend, and unfortunately we have to go.
No, but yesterday
Reverend Jones Latte
I watched Evans, and since 1960,
right,
1960 to date, only 9,400 and something lawyers. 1960.
On the roll, it's an interesting bit.
That doesn't help.
Reverend Jones Latte says, good morning, buddy. Thought for the day. The city is appreciating. This means we in the diaspora are paying more to support our families and friends in Ghana. We are paying more for pharmaceutical products. When are the pharmacies going to bring down the prices of pain killers? That's what he says. One more time, a very happy birthday to my baby girl, Lorette Jamfi. All of us are baby. Lorette Jamfi, and also to Dr. Joseph Reginald K. Ajiman. Doc, Uncle Reggie, happy birthday to you as well. You're one cheerful lad, even on the back of everything happening. So God richly bless you. There's also happy birthday to my very beautiful niece, Mami Efia Adepa Otu. Mami Efia Adepa Otu. You are 3 years today. That's a beautiful number. And may the good Lord bless you. I love you so much. Lots of love oozing out from your favorite aunt, Rich Hunty, and godmother, Loretta. We all call her Lori around here. So happy birthday to you, Mami Efia Adepa Otu, on your 3rd birthday. May you grow in wisdom, knowledge, and the love of God. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining.
You haven't given an opportunity to say good morning to the good people of Mandai.
You did that at the
Oh,
start.
no, I haven't greeted them.
You had a whole...
You just made me to talk, so I was just talking.
You go ahead.
So let me say good morning to the good people of Mandai. You know, if they are not there, I'm not there.
Okay.
So I have to say good morning to them.
Please
and
go
then
ahead.
good morning to Sweetie too.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. And that's how we cap off the show this morning. Those who joined us this morning, the two of you,
What's the problem?
Matthew Jindam is legislator for the Pandai constituency. Wanda Madilo is with the NDC's communications team. Do stick and stay. We have major conversations coming your way. We'll be delving into that special prosecutor's issue, and we'll also be looking at the situation in respect of Bernard Mpibuesiako, a.k.a. Chairman Wontumi. You want to stick and stay? We'll be right back.
That Mr. Ofori-Atta was a travel risk, or that he was an invalid who needed around-the-clock intense medical attention to the point that traveling to the jurisdiction would endanger his life. Upon the expiry of the 10 February 2025 deadline, the Special Prosecutor publicly declared Mr. Ofori-Atta a wanted person and a fugitive from justice on 12 February 2025 on the ground that his avowed posture of remaining indefinitely outside the jurisdiction, without indicating a reasonable time of his return to the jurisdiction, showed clearly that he had no intention of voluntarily returning to the jurisdiction. By a letter dated 17 February 2025, Mr. Ofori-Atta's lawyers transmitted to the Special Prosecutor a communication laced with vituperation and designed variously as a denigration of the OSP, a lecture on their suppositions as to the mandate of the OSP, a threat of legal action, a sort of homily as to how the OSP should conduct its affairs, an attack on the person of the Special Prosecutor, and a suggestion that the Special Prosecutor had embarked on a personal vendetta against Mr. Ofori-Atta without disclosing the alleged series of retaliatory, vengeful, or hostile acts the Special Prosecutor had directed at him, or alleged exchange of such acts between Mr. Ofori-Atta and the Special Prosecutor. Crucially, the 17 February 2025 letter from Mr. Ofori-Atta's lawyers failed to indicate a reasonable date of Mr. Ofori-Atta's return to the jurisdiction and attendance at the OSP. On this reckoning, the OSP, by a letter dated 17 February 2025, reaffirmed and restated to Mr. Ofori-Atta that he remained a wanted person and a fugitive from justice. The OSP further stated that this tag will so remain until he indicated a reasonable time of his return to the jurisdiction, with the necessary and reasonable assurances of abiding by his indicated reasonable time, or until such time that the OSP enforces return to the jurisdiction and attendance at the OSP, whichever came first. By a letter dated 18 February 2025, Mr. Ofori-Atta's lawyers communicated to the OSP that he was scheduled for a possible surgical intervention in the United States on 20 and 21 March 2025, and further that taking the date of the possible surgical intervention into account, he would require a recovery period of 6 to 8 weeks. On this basis, his lawyer stated that he should be able to return to the jurisdiction between 14 and 30 May 2025. On the same day, by a letter dated 18 February 2025, the OSP graciously acceded to Mr. Ofori-Atta's request to return voluntarily to the jurisdiction between 14 and 30 May 2025, as the office deemed the indicated recovery period reasonable in the circumstances. Consequently, the OSP removed Mr. Ofori-Atta's name from the list of wanted persons pending his voluntary return to the jurisdiction based on his own indicated dates. Consequently, the OSP directed Mr. Ofori-Atta to attend the OSP in person on Monday, 2 June 2025 at 13:30 GMT for interview, which is today. The OSP emphasized that if he failed to voluntarily return to the jurisdiction within a stated date, and if he failed to attend the OSP on the rescheduled date of Monday, 2 June 2025 at 13:30 GMT, his name will be re-entered on the list of wanted persons, and the OSP will consider him a fugitive from justice, whereupon the office will take all necessary legal steps to secure his return to the jurisdiction and attendance at the OSP at our own choosing. Then, by a letter dated 28 May 2025, Mr. Ofori-Atta's lawyers informed the special prosecutor that a medical expert has diagnosed Mr. Ofori-Atta with cancer and has earmarked 13 June 2025 for surgery, for which reason he would be unable to return to the jurisdiction as scheduled. His lawyer stated that to the knowledge of the OSP, this change in circumstances has been brought to the attention of the court, before which Mr. Ofori-Atta is presently pursuing a human rights claim against the OSP and the special prosecutor. His lawyer stated further that in order not to hold the office back in the performance of his function, he had Mr. Ofori-Atta's instructions of his readiness to go through video recorded interview for the purpose of eliciting his caution statement. His lawyers offered to meet the special prosecutor in person or approach the bench for the purpose of viewing Mr. Ofori-Atta's biopsy report, whichever suited the special prosecutor. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the media, this is where we are now. And let us step back a bit from the 28 May 2025 letter from Mr. Ofori-Atta's lawyers and place the matters in their proper context. I have intentionally went through a tedious time. A letter from Mr. Ofori-Atta's lawyers, dated 18 February 2025, clearly indicated that a possible surgical intervention to be performed on him was to occur on 20 and 21 March 2025, upon which reckoning the OSP carefully considered the recovery period and indulgently pushed Mr. Ofori-Atta's attendance at the OSP to 2 June 2025. Therefore, Mr. Ofori-Atta had a duty to promptly inform the OSP of any fundamental change in his medical circumstances on 21 March 2025, when the advertised surgical intervention was not performed, to enable the OSP reschedule a new date of his attendance at the OSP to accommodate any such material changes in his medical condition and treatment itinerary. Mr. Ofori-Atta has known, at least since 21 March 2025, that no surgical procedure was to be performed on him in March. Yet, he purposely sat by indolently and chose not to inform the OSP of such fundamental changes in the circumstances. Instead, about 67 days after learning of the alleged changed circumstances around 21 March 2025, Mr. Ofori-Atta elected to spring a surprise on the OSP on 28 May 2025, just 6 days before his scheduled attendance at the OSP, by offering to undergo a video recorded interview and a viewing of his biopsy report. Now, back to the 28 May 2025 letter from the lawyers of Mr. Ofori-Atta. As I said, this is where we are. By a letter dated 30 May 2025, the OSP declined Mr. Ofori-Atta's offer of video recorded interview for the purpose of eliciting his caution statement. This office has always insisted on his personal attendance, and we have indicated clearly to him that we are unwilling to waive it. If we were amenable to taking any such statement from Mr. Ofori-Atta in absentia, we would have done so in February and not waited to 2 June 2025. We want him here physically, and we insist on it. A suspect in a criminal investigation does not pick and choose how the investigative authority should conduct its investigations and the method suitable to him and his convenience. We will not countenance such conduct, not in this case or in any other case. Further, the OSP has declined Mr. Ofori-Atta's invitation to view his biopsy report as we consider it a pointless exercise. This is because it is common learning that the biopsy report contains nothing more than a conclusion upon the removal and examination of tissue, cells, or fluids from a living body that some disease or malady was indicated in the samples taken. A biopsy report is not an expression of a reasoned medical opinion that the subject of the report is an invalid and unable to travel, as Mr. Ofori-Atta seeks to suggest is his condition, and for which reason he says he cannot return to the jurisdiction. This much is clear. Since 24 January 2025 till date, Mr. Ofori-Atta has failed to show any medical report, I underline, he has failed to show any medical report which suggests that he is a travel risk and unable to return to the jurisdiction by reason of his medical condition. It has all been his say-so, his singular say-so. Therefore, the OSP views Mr. Ofori-Atta's lawyer's letter dated 28 May 2025 as an expression of utter bad faith on the part of Mr. Ofori-Atta, and it confirms our long-held, well-considered opinion and conclusion that Mr. Ofori-Atta has no intention of voluntarily returning to the jurisdiction and to attend the OSP. Further, this office is unaware of his purported information to the court, whether orally or by file processes, of the alleged change in his circumstances. Today is Monday, 2 June 2025. It is more than 3 hours past the scheduled time of Mr. Ofori-Atta's attendance at the OSP, and Mr. Ofori-Atta failed to attend the OSP today. Mr. Ofori-Atta's conduct is totally unacceptable and a baleful spite at law enforcement and criminal investigations. It ends here. It ends today. We will no longer accommodate him. Consequently, the OSP redeclares that Mr. Ofori-Atta is a wanted person and a fugitive from justice. His name is hereby re-entered on the OSP's list of wanted persons. The OSP will take all necessary legal steps to secure Mr. Ofori-Atta's return to the jurisdiction and to answer to the criminal inquiries against him. In pursuance of this, about 30 minutes before this briefing, I triggered processes for the issuance of an Interpol red notice for the location and provisional arrest of Mr. Kenneth Nanaya Ofori-Atta in whichever jurisdiction pending extradition or his surrender. Around the same time, I dispatched a request for extradition processes to be instituted for the provisional apprehension in any jurisdiction in which Mr. Ofori-Atta may be located or found, and his extradition to the Republic of Ghana. The OSP will prefer criminal charges in the courts against Mr. Ofori-Atta in due course, whether in absentia or otherwise. The principle upon which we proceed is that no person, regardless of title, regardless of status, regardless of medical condition, is beyond the reach of inquiry by the OSP. Thank you for coming. If you have any questions, I'll prepare to answer them. If you don't have any questions,
Don't you forget, the AM show is proudly sponsored by Whaley Properties. We provide quality housing at an affordable cost and with a flexible payment option. Welcome back, and we kickstart our big stories with our conversation on Special Prosecutor Kisi Ejabeng stirring controversy in turning former Minister for Finance Ken Ofori-Atta, or naming him a fugitive for the second time following his failure to comply with an earlier directive to show up in Ghana. We'll bring you details of that. Joining me in the studio, and he's going to be telling us, a bit about the office and this whole Ken Ofori-Atta dynamic. I have Sammy Darko, Samuel Apia Darko. He is Director of Strategy, Research and Communication at the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Mr. Darko, good morning.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure having you here. And I'd like to find out, first off, some people have some misconceptions, misunderstandings about the office. Walk us briefly through what the office is all about.
Okay. Thank you very much. So the OSP simply stands for the Office of the Special Prosecutor and is Ghana's flagship anti-corruption agency. Now, why was the OSP created? the law was passed in 2018 to address the persistent failures of past attempts to fight corruption in Ghana. So the OSP was created, taking into consideration all the loopholes and the things that did not allow Ghana to effectively fight corruption. So what did the lawmaker do? The lawmaker decided that it was going to create an independent, politically insulated state institution. Often people think that the OSP is like a private organization headed by a lawyer, but no, it's a state institution that was created to meet both national and international anti-corruption commitments. Now, the OSP satisfied several requirements. If you take the African Union Convention on Preventing and Combating Corruption, the OSP was set up to meet that requirement because in the past, Ghana was not meeting that requirement. And one of the requirements is that you must have an independent agency. It must have investigative powers. It must be able to do asset recovery. And it must also liaise with international partners. And there's also another requirement that Ghana had to meet, which is the United Nations Convention Against Corruption. The OSP meets that. So, and then there's something called the Jakarta Principles, which allows every state party to make sure that they appoint, they have an anti-corruption body that is also independent with clear, transparent way of appointment and then clear mandate as well as clear financial autonomy. And I'm saying that the creation of this office was to meet all these standards. Now, what does the OSP do? So often people do not understand what the OSP does. The OSP is a prosecutorial office, but it is an office that has been given police powers as well as asset recovery powers. So people often think that the OSP's job is only to prosecute. No. So it is the type of a prosecutor who has been given power to investigate and at the same time power to be able to recover proceeds of crime. And then the last one is that it should be able to even prevent corruption before it happens. So often people have been thinking whether the OSP can even arrest somebody. Why is the OSP seizing or searching people's property or other? It's because the OSP itself is not just a prosecutorial office, but has also been given police powers. And so it's able to do all these things. And the people that the OSP is supposed to investigate are public officials, politically exposed persons, and then persons in the private sector. So under the law, politically exposed persons is defined to include any person who is entrusted with a prominent public function in this country or in any other foreign country, and also any Ghanaian who works in an international organization. And also it includes senior political party officials, government, judicial, military officials who are all working in foreign countries. And then this is the catch. If you are an immediate family member of any politically exposed person, you automatically fall under the jurisdiction of the OSP. Now, although the office was created in 2018, it has had problems. And the problems did not make the office work as it should. So the OSP, in actual sense, started its full operation in 2022, 2023. So you can see people are always judging the office by going back to 2018. But if you see what happened, that there was even a lacuna, and then the problems with the first special prosecutor, the office actually started doing real work in 2022. So often when people are judging the office, they go back to 2018. By natural sense, it's 2022 that people should be judging the office from. Now, what are some of the powers of the OSP? The OSP is immune from external control, which means that the OSP is not controlled by the presidency, it's not controlled by the Attorney General, and it's not controlled by anybody. The OSP is supposed to be independent. And then the OSP also prosecutes independent of the Attorney General. Often people have said that the Attorney General directs the OSP as to what to do. No, when the OSP investigates and has sufficient evidence, it just goes to court. And then it has full police powers, and I said it can seize, freeze, and confiscate. And then there's one other thing the OSP does that a lot of people are not aware. And
I would like us to accelerate on this because we have to get into the
what we call the lifestyle audit. The OSP is able to do a lifestyle audit. Now, what makes the OSP unique is that it's perhaps one of the state institutions that is able to hold present government accountable. So let's go back to the previous regime, Nana Akufo-Addo's regime. You realize that under his regime, there were a lot of work that the OSP did. These were the people that the OSP investigated, and some of them are still in court. Some, the OSP disposed of it because there were not sufficient evidence. And then, if you look at institutions that the OSP has been investigating, you can see them listed there. The OSP did a lot of investigation into customs. We are doing more into Ghana Education Service. And if you look at past government officials, the OSP is now investigating Ken Ofori-Atta. It investigated President John Mahama as well. The OSP's intervention has been very phenomenal. Often people are focusing on just imprisonment, but if you look at the work that the OSP has been doing, it's also mandated to prevent corruption. We do that through a number of ways: corruption risks analysis, stopping contracts that are tainted with corruption and all that. And these have saved Ghana millions of cedis. Also, we have been blocking leakages in payroll scandals in the Ghana Education Service. And this in particular is very important because when we were working on this payroll fraud issue, just in the northern region alone, the OSP was able to block about 34 million Ghana cedis. And you can imagine that was for only a financial year, 2024. If it had not been identified, it meant that every year, Ghana was losing 34 million Ghana cedis only in the northern region. And you imagine if we extend this to all the other regions. So, in a nutshell, this is what the OSP has been doing. Prosecutions are underway. People have said that they don't see the OSP do anything. Some have even said that the OSP doesn't have any case in court. That's not true. There are a number of cases that the OSP has filed. Judicial process takes a while. Yes, the OSP has lost a case. It lost one case in Ashanti region. But the bottom line is that the OSP is now firmly won any case? Yes, the OSP has won a case. The OSP has secured conviction. 6 persons have been convicted. And that's part of the broader investigation into Ghana Education Service in terms of GS, in terms of ghost names, as well as we have a second aspect of GS, which has to do with people who pay for jobs. So those who are demanding money to place people as well as that. So in a nutshell, but this is also very important. When we talk about prevention, then this will be my last intervention. The OSP thinks that in order to, because it has a mandate under its law to change culture, and the OSP thinks that the only way it can change culture is to start with the youth. So since 2024, the OSP has prepared a document and sent to Ministry of Education. They have a division called NACA. They are in charge of curriculum. And we are urging on the country to adopt this and introduce anti-corruption into our curriculum. Now, this anti-corruption scheme is not just to teach children what is corruption, what is this, but it's a project-based kind of learning. And we were in Cape Town. I'll give you an example. There was this child who had been filmed. They asked the children, who do you want to become? And this child said he wanted to become a corrupt businessman. Now, they further asked him, why do you want to become a corrupt businessman? And he told them that, well, in his community, the teachers, the nurses, the doctors, they don't have money. Some of them ride on a bicycle and motorbike. But Uncle Joe drives a black SUV and has so much money. He's a shrewd businessman, blah, blah, blah. So then it dawned on everybody that these children are looking up to the adults. So what we want to do is a project-based learning where children, for instance, will be asked, who do you want to become in future? Maybe he wants to become a businessman. Now he will be given money in an envelope, and he will tell us what he wants to do with the money. And we will see how he spends the money, whether in spending the money, this child is going to pocket some or he will not. So this is what we have been doing. But also we have been going to the schools and teaching people about corruption and why the youth should take corruption seriously and demand accountability from their leaders. All right. So in a nutshell, these are some of the things that we have been doing.
And that's it for the office.
Yes.
Now,
but then the office too has a very good reporting line, which is that these days you can either call us on the toll-free line, or you can email us, or you can even visit our office and then report corruption. And then we have a very secured online system where when you go, you can even report anonymously, or you can report if you want to give us your details. So we are just saying that the office has been building, and the office is now firmly rooted. Although we have certain challenges that we think that people would have to also admit. And we have also said that if you're able to help us recover corrupt money, you can get up to 10% of the amount that has been recovered. And there's also protection for you when you
I wanted to pause right there. So you're basically saying, if you just go back, you're saying that if someone blows the whistle on some corrupt act where money is involved or resources are involved, and the person the process is completed and the person is convicted, that person can get 10% of the recovered amount.
Yes, but the 10% is in contest. Remember, the law says that we must 50% goes back to the consolidated fund.
Right.
Then 10% is given to the Attorney General for ceding his power to the OSP. The OSP keeps 30%, and then the 10% is the amount that will go to the person who helps us. So the 10% will be the 10% out of the 40% that we are supposed to take 30%.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just doing that to let people know as well that if you blow the whistle and if it's credible information
there's
giving,
compensation.
you can benefit.
I think someone has benefited. When we did the custom case, the whistleblower indeed.
The kennel, whatever is used.
Yeah,
what
the
you're
customs,
right.
Customs division of the Ghana Revenue.
Right.
So and finally, then you can go on. There are teething problems that we face. One of them is that because we have not been written in the Constitution, there's a tendency that the OSP can be scrapped if you have 2/3 majority of MPs agreeing that it should be scrapped. And we think that that undermines the independence of the office. Also, we think that it's time that Ghana pass what we call a Corrupt Practices Act that will consolidate every conduct or action that is deemed corruption, especially if you look at the bigger definition of corruption at the United Nations, what we call the UNCAC. Because things like sextortion is not corruption in Ghana. Yet if you are there, you might think it is corruption. Influence peddling has not been legislated as corruption in Ghana, but if you are there, you might think it's corruption. And also, it's not every offense that Ghanaians call corruption, which is a corruption as defined in the OSP Act. So sometimes people are expecting you to take up a case, but you do not have the mandate. So when the OSP, for instance, investigated Madam Cecilia Adapa and realized that they fell under money laundering, people expected that the OSP should have gone ahead. But then the OSP couldn't go ahead because it does not have jurisdiction over money laundering. That's why the OSP had to refer it to the Economic and Organized Crime Office. And then there's one last feature which Ghana...
Just a quick question there. So two things. One, you talk about Act 959 and the possibility of repealing a 2/3 majority in Parliament. Interestingly, we have an administration currently that literally has 2/3, especially as the independent members of Parliament caucus with them. So that's a danger for you, right?
Yeah, that's why we want the OSP to be written in the Constitution. A proposal has been sent to the Constitution Review Commission that the OSP has to be written in the Constitution. Ghana's Constitution has to have a chapter on anti-corruption. So we have made a proposal for a chapter purposely on anti-corruption. If you find corruption to be one of the biggest problems in Ghana, then you must adequately address that. So these are some of the proposals. But the most important...
And let me just add, you brought in Cecilia Adapa. You speak about money laundering and how technically that doesn't fall under your purview. And that's why you referred it to EOCO. Just as we've seen with Wontumi and EOCO, because money laundering is one of the issues. But you've reopened the case against Cecilia Adapa. What's the understanding?
No, we did not reopen the case. We are saying that the new leadership of EOCO has now asked us to refer the docket back to them. So that's what we've done.
So what you're saying is EOCO has reopened the case? And you are merely complying with the processes?
The previous leadership thought that there was no case for Madame Dapa to answer, and so they did not look into it at all.
The way you say the previous leadership?
Yes, because it was the previous leadership that we referred the matter to that did not take it up. Now, a new leader has come, and the leader thinks that there is a case to answer, and so he wants to take it up. So it's more like saying that the document that was brought to me, to my office, that we thought there was nothing in it. We really want to have a look at it again. So that's the position. Then the last one which I want to talk about is that often people have compared Ghana to other countries and said, oh, they're able to recover faster and bigger and all that, especially Nigeria. Now, there's something that we lack in Ghana, which is what we call non-conviction-based forfeiture, and which goes to what we call reverse burden of proof. So in Nigeria, in Kenya, in South Africa, in the United Kingdom, in the United States of America, when your lawful income does not match your assets,
right,
the burden shifts to you to now explain to the court how you came by those assets. Right. That we do not have in Ghana.
We're at every material time, audits and all of that.
Yes, at every material time, the investigator will need to prove, or the prosecutor will need to prove how you corrupted yourself. And this is a very serious thing. And then it also helps you to do what we call civil forfeiture without necessarily taking the person through criminal trial. So if your lawful income does not match your asset, then, and you're unable to explain, then it's
you must explain
yes,
where those assets have come from. And if you're unable to explain...
So I find you driving S600 and I check, I do intelligence background check, and I notice that, well, at multimedia, maybe you are not paid that much. And so how is it that you're able to afford S600 Mercedes-Benz? Then that is when the matter starts. I have cross-checked your income. I've seen that you have not won a lottery. I've seen that you don't have any relative who could have bought you that car as a gift. Even if it was a gift, I've not seen any gift tax paid, blah, blah. So we will do all those works. And then we will then present our case before the court that your lawful income does not match this car that you bought. We think that you got it through a corrupt means. Then the burden will shift to you. Now you need to tell us how you got money to buy the Mercedes-Benz.
Did I get a gift from somewhere that was
if you
not
got a
declared?
gift, you would have known.
And do you remember the issue of? Do you remember the instance
because
of
you be served.
a prominent, church leader in this country,
yes,
and a gift to a child? And
yes,
all
so
of
you
that.
must have paid tax on it. So we'll check.
If that person hadn't spoken about it, you probably wouldn't have known about it.
No, it doesn't matter. All we are trying to say is that we would have done a thorough investigation to see how you might have come by it. And if the legitimate means that you should have come by, we are not able to find, then you need to explain. Now, once you're able to explain, then you take back your car. But if not, the state takes over it. And
just a quick question.
It's a very important feature that we lack here in Ghana. And if we have it, there will be a lot of recoveries, because we believe that many people are unable to account for their wealth. However, it's also very difficult proving how they corrupted themselves. Right. Because the two actors involved in corruption usually do not want to talk to you.
And I do understand, I mean, in the UK, France, US, Japan, these are jurisdictions where such things are pretty, you have to. I mean, you may get away with it for a while, but eventually the long arms of the law will catch up with you. However, in our instance, are there cases, because of how porous even the tax and other systems are there instances where you may assume this person must have dabbled in some corruption, only to find out that, oh, this person has XYZ streams of income that are legitimate, and so that is how the person is making the money?
Yes, through investigation, you are able to uncover that. At the OSP, we have something we call Declaration of Property and Income form. Anytime you are a suspect of the OSP, you'll be administered with that form. Now, that form is very exacting. It asks you to tell us the things you have, including monies that you might have lodged with your girlfriend. And it's compulsory that you fill that form. You have 30 days within which to fill that form. Now, failure to fill that form in itself is a criminal offense, where you can go to jail for a minimum of 2 years, a maximum of 4 years. Now, if we say fill the form...
And this is for someone who is suspected of having engaged in...
Yes. And if we say fill the form, and you don't disclose certain things that you have, but we are able to go behind and independently verify it belongs to you, it's also automatically forfeited to the state. So I'm saying that there are several ways in which we are able to detect your income.
Right.
Because we are able to summon your bank records, call records, so many other things that we can use to detect whether you indeed, or we can check your taxes, whether you pay. In this country, people do not pay taxes. Can you imagine if we have this non-conviction-based forfeiture? It will make people now pay their taxes, because if we check with the tax person, you said it's a gift. In Ghana, when you get a gift, you must pay a gift tax. Why is there no payment of a gift tax? Then it means it's not a gift. I don't know if you appreciate that.
What is the threshold for these gifts? And I say that, you know, the current president has spoken about, yes, we have assets declaration and they have their own code of conduct, and he's pegged, you know, this gift thing at 20,000 Ghana cedis. What does the OSP say on that? Well, what is the threshold?
The OSP law does not talk about gift and its threshold. That's not. That's why we have something we call the Cooper Bill. And the Cooper Bill is essentially a code of conduct bill, which the hope is that when it's passed, it will align all these things. But currently, the presidency have
you say when it's passed, is this something you're working on?
Yeah, it's something that's, that Ghana has been working on. It won't be the OSP, just Shraj, almost all the anti-corruption bodies, plus civil society have been demanding. It's also an international requirement that we're able to pass a code of conduct law. Now, currently, what is at the presidency is just a code, which means that it can be enforced only at the presidency. But if it becomes a law, then it gives law enforcement agencies like the OSP that have a mandate under corruption to now take you on. So, for instance,
should that be eventually where we get?
That is
because
where
some people have said that don't just leave it as a code of conduct; it must become a law. Is that the
no?
Next
That
step?
is where we are going. And if you saw Majority Leader the other time in Parliament, some of the bills that were listed, the Code of Conduct bill had also been listed. So if it's passed, and let's say we fix gift to be 10,000, if anybody gives you a gift above 10,000, it raises the red flags. You understand? But currently, if it's just a code, then the punishment will not necessarily involve criminal processes. It's just either you are sanctioned or your salary is deducted and that sort of thing. But it's a very important law, not just for Ghana, but also for us to meet international requirements. So it is something that we need to work on it. And then the issue of asset declaration, we also know that our law is not fit for purpose, and we need to work on it so that there will be independent verification of the assets as well. So in a nutshell, this is the OSP. I do not want to drag this too much, but the point we are making is that the OSP has now come to stay. It takes a while. People do not understand that in Ghana, even the average criminal trial takes 3 years. And if you do the reckoning and know that the OSP, the second special prosecutor, was sworn into office in 2021, and the office had to be set up. For instance, there has to be logistics, equipment, the entire building had to be furnished and worked on. People have to be trained. We have to now employ staff. They have to be on probation for 1 year and go through training. We are now building, through the help of the European Union, a forensic lab, interrogation rooms. It takes a while to even set up the office, but what this special prosecutor did was to cast the seal whilst building it. He cast the craft onto the sea, and then he was building it. So we've gotten to the point where we can now say that the OSP is now firmly rooted and established, and is ready to do its work.
All right.
And all this while that people thought that there was nothing happening, the OSP was investigating on the quiet. You know, what we do usually is that because people are presumed innocent, the whole idea of the office is to do things on the quiet. So as I speak to you, there are so many people who are on bail from the OSP, but you do not know, because until we are ready to charge them, sometimes you decide not to bring it out. The only time you hear the OSP come out is when people give us a cause to come out. So the OSP has invited you and you decide not to show up. Then you are giving the OSP cause to enforce the law. And in enforcing the law, it doesn't mean that the OSP is overreaching.
Can you give us, you know, some approximates of the number of people that would be on bail?
If I'm not mistaken, I don't want to give a figure, but if I look
you can give us a ballpark figure.
If I give some figure, it may be those that may be nearly due for court.
Right.
Maybe you're looking at, say, 20,
about
20 to about 30.
Okay, so between 20 and 30.
Yeah, a lot of people are on bail. But you wouldn't know, because we are saying that until the processes are well done and we filed in court, that's when we start to talk about them.
Okay. I want you to elaborate on the Ken Ofori-Atta situation in a bit, but I have this question. A lawyer sends me this and says the OSP is unfit for purpose. The office is a duplication of the process. The state police is the most independent institution. How do you react to that? It's a stone that has always been thrown at the special prosecutor,
it's
even
true.
talking about the relevance vis-a-vis the Attorney General's office.
It's a very interesting question. It comes up all the time, but it's also, if I should say, it's a little bit of ignorance, although you say it's coming from a lawyer. In every jurisdiction, they have what we call police. If you go to America, they have the police. If you go to Togo, they have the police. If you go to Kenya, they have the police. But the world over came together and said that the fight against corruption requires more than just police. It requires specialized institutions that needs to be set up. Now, people have even said that the OSP is a duplication of duty of other agencies. It's not true. I'll take you to Nigeria. In Nigeria, they have what they call EFCC. They have what they call ICPC. They have what we call the Code of Conduct Bureau. They have several other agencies. They are all fighting corruption. But each one has their speciality that they focus on. So it's not even true that in Ghana we have a lot of anti-corruption bodies. It's not true. Strictly speaking, the OSP is the anti-corruption body, right? And then we also have the Economic Crimes Office.
Could this burden not have been carried by the Attorney General, especially if there were a split between the Attorney General representing the state and the Minister of Justice representing the people?
That is what has been done by the lawmaker. The OSP, it's that body. The reason why it's very difficult to put such power in the Attorney General is that he is a member of cabinet. You don't expect him to be sitting with cabinet, they take decisions, and then he pass their back and start prosecuting them, right? That's why it's always been advised that you must get an independent person who is not a member of cabinet, but who is able to check the people in cabinet. So that's the whole idea. But the point I was making is that there's no duplicity in Ghana. In fact, we even need more hands to fight corruption. If you take Shraj does civil corruption matters. The OSP does what we call criminal corruption, right? And Yoko does what we call economic and organized crime. Yes, there are areas where they may overlap, but that is where the issue of collaboration comes in. That's why that you saw that in the Siciliata Park case, the OSP had referred it to Iyoko. Iyoko also refers cases that border on our mandate to us. But all I'm trying to say is that this notion that the OSP is a duplication is not true. And it's a fallacy because in every jurisdiction, if you go to South Africa right now, the same that I'm talking about, you find. They have the public protector, they have the SIU, they have the police. There's a reason why specialization is important. And that is why Ghana came up with the answer and said that we are giving you one body that will not just investigate, but is able to prosecute without reference to the Attorney General. How about if the Attorney General doesn't want this person prosecuted?
Right. So those are interesting dynamics. Did you say earlier that the Special Prosecutor's Office had both prosecutorial, and police powers? And I say that because of certain questions that have been raised. Did you say that?
Yes.
Clarify.
All right. So, like I said, the OSP is a prosecutorial office that has been given police powers in the law. So it means that the OSP is able to investigate. In the course of investigating, anything that the police are able to do, the OSP is able to do, which includes that it can arrest you, it can seize your property, it can freeze your assets.
At what point do the law courts come in?
Well, the law courts come in when there has to be what we call confirmation of some things. So, for instance, when the OSP arrests you, it cannot keep you for more than 48 hours, right? After 48 hours, they need to put you before court. The court comes in. When the OSP seizes your vehicle, the law says that it can seize the vehicle for up to 7 days. But after 7 days, it needs to go to court and confirm the seizure. When the OSP freezes your account, it can do so for 14 days. But after 14 days, it needs to go to court and confirm the freeze. So that is how the courts come. And when the OSP investigates you and then is convinced that there is sufficient evidence that you might have committed the offense, it places you before the court. And the court will now determine whether the evidence indeed implicates you. And the court is the one that will convict you.
All right. Let's look at Ken Ofori-Atta. He's been under investigation, among other things, for the Petroleum and Minerals Revenue Assurance issue, electricity contract termination, National Cathedral ambulance deal, GRA tax P fund, and you've even mentioned some other matters in there. The core timelines, we've been looking at January 2025, the OSP naming him a subject, summoning him on the 10th of February, and then the agreements in between. I don't want to belabor the point. And then 18th of February, appealing to the OSP, a firm May return date being given and granted. We find ourselves in June, and then the complications in there. Ken Ofori-Atta's lawyers have spoken. What is the real situation in respect of Ken Ofori-Atta? We followed what the OSP said. Why is there a problem? Why can't he just virtually, interact with the OSP? Where does the problem lie?
First of all, let me also say this. I mean, those of us in the media tend to usually make things this against this. So they will say, Kisie Javin against Ken Ofori-Atta. I think that style of presenting is wrong. Remember, the OSP is a state institution. It cannot be.
It's the office, but the arrowhead, what we see
No, I understand, but I'm just trying to correct that. It makes it feel as if there is a rift. There's no rift. What is happening is that a law enforcement agency, having done its investigation, is convinced that a particular Ghanaian has committed an offense and that the person has to answer for it. So that's what is happening. So it's not like Kisie Javin against Ken Ofori-Atta. It's law enforcement agency going after a suspect.
Well, I don't know what you're thinking, but there's no such suggestion that
the real case
any
between
individual
the
against someone.
OSP is simply that the OSP is investigating Mr. Ofori-Atta. The difficulty has been that the OSP has not the chance to physically interview Mr. Ofori-Atta. That's the whole difficulty. So there is really nothing happening. The difficulty is stemming from the fact that Mr. Ofori-Atta has not made himself available. So I typically use a simple example. If you are working here at Multimedia and you cannot make it to work, I presume what you do is that you are likely to either send your supervisor a message and say you are not feeling well. Or if, say, you have been to the hospital and they've diagnosed you of something, you are likely to send a medical report to come and say that, well, I was not feeling well. They diagnosed me of malaria and they said I should stay home for 3 days. That report will come to the supervisor. Is that not it? That's exactly what is happening here. So what is happening here is that a suspect says that he is sick and cannot come. Now, the difficulty is this. The suspect has not provided any medical report. So I hear the lawyers say that there's a medical report. Please, it's not true. The suspect has not provided any medical report of.
Is there a biopsy report?
There's no biopsy report. And that is where I was saying that the Multimedia in particular allowed the lawyer for Ken Ofori-Atta to go on and rant and.
Are you speaking of Frank Davies?
And insult almost everybody's intelligence.
You should specify.
Because
it's Frank Davies you're referring to.
Because they have.
Please clarify for me. Is it Frank Davies you're referring to?
Any lawyer for Ken Ofori-Atta who has spoken on your network has said that there is a. So you just asked me, and I'm thinking that your presumption is that he's told you that there is a biopsy report. There is no biopsy report with the OSP. There is no medical report with the OSP. Nothing. What is there is just a letter by Ken Ofori-Atta's lawyer saying that our client is sick and is going to do a surgery, so he cannot come. But if you are so minded, we can send you his biopsy for you to have a look at it. Now, who takes a biopsy? No. A medical report means that there is a medical case where the administrator of the hospital has certified, and it will contain all the queries on the person, the opinions of the medical person supervising, and then any other thing that they need to provide, they will provide it in a whole document. And this document will have to be signed by the medical administrator, and it will be addressed to the investigating authority to say that, hey, this client of ours cannot come to you because he is incapacitated, or if he's to fly even for 2 hours, he's going to die. So please, we will ask that you give us 6 months for him or her to recover. That is what we call a medical report. But what we are talking about here is just a suspect sending you a letter, and the letter saying that I'm not well, I'm going to do a surgery, and I've been advised not to do A, B, C, D, or that. But if you are so interested, I will send you a copy of my biopsy. Remember, you are not a free man walking. You are a suspect in a serious investigation. So police is coming to arrest you, and they call you and say, come to our office. And you tell the police officer, oh, I'm not feeling well, or I'm going to Kolebu. So I do not know when I'll be done with Kolebu. So when I'm done with Kolebu, I'll come. Do you think that the policeman will take such excuse?
Let me just clarify here. You've made a point, and yesterday, listening to the special prosecutor, I heard him make reference to this purported biopsy, right? And he spoke to it. He even went further to talk about what a biopsy is and all of that. My issue, though, has to do with the lawyer says, okay, there was some report. The OSP says, even this biopsy means nothing because it's not a full-scale medical report. A simple, explanation of a biopsy per the Cambridge Dictionary. It says the process of removing and examining a small amount of tissue from a sick person in order to discover more about their illness. I don't know why then the OSP or the SP decided to bring in the biopsy, but what it then means is that for you, it is totally irrelevant. You don't have a full-scale medical report, not even that biopsy report. That's what you're saying?
Yes.
You don't even have a biopsy report?
We don't have a biopsy report. And I heard that the lawyer also said that they presented his medical report to the court. That's also false. In fact, the court case has nothing to do with his health condition. The court case simply has to do with the previous declaration of him as a wanted person. That's all. So they have not even presented any document of his medical condition to any court of competent jurisdiction. Again, that is also not true. Okay. But we understand propaganda, right? A law enforcement agency will not concern itself so much with propaganda. The only reason why you may see us talk about it is also that it's important that the Ghanaian public who have so much interest in this case get to know the facts so that they are not tainted with propaganda and think that somebody is doing something wrong. Right. One, Ken Ofori-Atta has not presented any medical report to the SP. Because remember, if you're able to present a certified medical report by a hospital administrator, are you aware that law enforcement agencies are also required to do an independent assessment of your report to be sure whether it's even true?
I mean, that's why in court we would have expert witnesses sometimes, medical professionals and others who may be well-versed in.
So there's no medical report from Mr. Ofori-Atta. It's just he's saying that he's not well and cannot come.
Okay.
And this is what happened in the first case. So in the first case, when we asked him to come, he said that he was on medical tourism and does not know when he will come. And we said that you cannot determine whether you come or when you don't come, when a law enforcement agency summons you. You don't have that right.
All right.
Right? And then he said, then he said that, well, then we said that if you don't give us a definitive date, we're going to declare you wanted.
I think all of these matters have been
done. No, but it's important that you let people understand that.
And I think the understanding is it's there, it's clear. The point, though, one issue that has been raised is about the seeming insensitivity of the special prosecutor, because the whole talk about a cancer, we don't know specifically where or what. But I do recall counsel for Ken Ofori-Atta was not happy with that. Was it necessary to bring it up?
Again, it is not us. It is lawyers for Ken Ofori-Atta. They told you that they have presented his medical report to the court. Did they not say that?
Right.
If you presented a medical report to the court, it's a public document. It's no longer a secret. Remember, this is a very public interest case. And they wrote to us and then told us that their client is suffering from this condition and will not make himself available. It's important that the SP make people aware, especially when they themselves were all over yesterday, talking that they have presented a medical report to the court. And essentially, you are just saying that this is a document that is known to everybody. So if the SP comes out and says that, well, even what they are talking about is not true. They have not presented anything. It's just they are saying to me. The OSP has been very fair. Look, law enforcement can be harsh. But what matters is what we call proportionality and fairness. Okay. And that's why I was saying that if you study the trajectory of this case, the OSP has been very fair with Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta. But we are convinced that he is unwilling to appear. And when you are unwilling to appear,
right,
the state gives law enforcement agency power to enforce your appearance. And that's all that we are doing. It has nothing to do whether we are sensitive or insensitive.
Right. The special prosecutor made mention of the fact that, I mean, it has nothing to do with him, like you've rightly mentioned, and that even a former president had been dealt with in the same way. Pointed question, will Ken Ofori-Atta be arrested should he come to Ghana? Because that's part of the fear that we've heard out there. Will he be arrested?
When you were
OSP has arresting powers.
When you were speaking to his lawyers, remember they will always tell you that we cannot disclose what we want to do, our next step and all that. Let's allow a law enforcement agency to do its work. We have been put there and trusted with the power to do this job.
So you are not ruling out. You are not ruling out the fact that if Ken Ofori-Atta shows up physically in Ghana, you could arrest him. You are not ruling it out.
Every suspect will be arrested at some point in time, unless after investigation you are innocent.
So if Ken Ofori-Atta comes to Ghana, he will be arrested by
every
the special
suspect
prosecutor.
will be arrested.
So he will be arrested.
Every suspect will be arrested.
Ken Ofori-Atta will be arrested.
The point I'm making to you is that when law enforcement agencies are convinced that you've committed a crime, after speaking to you, and if they are to charge you, you have to be taken through the process of arrest. For instance, your fingerprints have to be taken.
Right.
A statement will have to be taken from. It does not mean that you need to speak to us. You can decide that you even talk.
Right.
But nonetheless, the formality before we can present you before a court has to be fulfilled. Okay. And the formality to fulfill is to arrest you, right? When you are arrested,
right.
First of all, then they will charge you, and then your fingerprints will be taken. Every other details that needs to be taken from you will be taken. Then you will be bailed.
Okay.
Right.
All right. So that's the process. The final bit I want to ask you. You've said that you want to extradite him. You've put him on the red alert. You want to bring him back to Ghana. You've spoken about his likely locations. What will be the process of extradition?
Okay, so it's not like we put him on red alert. We have triggered the process for him to be put on the Interpol red alert.
Indeed.
The reason why you have to do that is that you may not be sure which jurisdiction a suspect may move into.
So as of now, you don't know?
It's not that we don't know. We have our intelligence. But what we are saying is that also don't think that a suspect may just be static in one country. That's why you give it to Interpol. So that in case a suspect is moving from country A to B, they may find him. And Interpol, the reason why we have Interpol is so that they may be able to locate the exact place where a suspect may be for you. And we have also triggered the process for extradition. You know that the Attorney General is our central authority for extradition. So that process has also been triggered. Right. It takes a while, but we have done what we need to do as law enforcement agents, because we told you that the law also gives us the power to enforce your attendance if you decide not to comply. Right. Yes. So that's what we have triggered.
Samuel Darko, it's been interesting. But do you have any specific timelines that you're operating in as far as this extradition is concerned?
No, we do not. The OSP does not control the extradition process. What is required of us is to trigger it, and that's what we've done. So the Attorney General, through the presidency, will follow up on those processes, and then the country where he may be found will also have to cooperate with us to what we call the MLA. Our foreign affairs has to come in and all that. It takes a while. So whatever it is, we are working, right? And the SP has hinted that if it's unduly delays and we're unable to get him, and it does happen that the process for what we call trial in absentia is possible, we will explore that. Right. I, as a lawyer, I do not believe that it is legal for you to try somebody in absentia when you have not arrested, charged, and all that. The other different school of thought that says that no, you can put a person before a court even if you've not physically. And people say Sednam Tamako case. I was just about but the Sednam case is because she had been arrested, she had been charged, processes had already been done. Right. It was only after the trial that they couldn't find her. So there are two schools of thought. Right. I'm of the school of thought that a person ought to be arrested and taken through before you can try the person. Right. Other schools also think that you can do that without arresting the person. And finally, people have said, why did we decline video and all that? Can you arrest somebody through Zoom? can you take a person's, say, fingerprint through Zoom?
I think we've dealt with that. So you must necessarily,
yes,
you want the person here physically.
So yeah, that's why I've said that. I think that they are treating this as if there's a civil matter that somebody wants to see him and all that. It's not. This is a criminal case.
Right. Sammy, it's been
before
really
I
good.
go, if you give us the opportunity to play our video so that Ghanaians know, can they help us with the last slide? Yes. For Ghanaians to know that the OSP has come to stay, and that if you engage in corruption and the OSP gets to know and there's sufficient evidence, we will come after you, irrespective of who you are. Oh, this has to play.
Well, we may have a challenge with that, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And
it should play, so I don't know why it's not playing.
So we're just going to work it out. Technically, we'll sort it out so that it plays in the background. And so, of course, you may have seen that video before of the Office of the Special Prosecutor. And yes, you'll see the eagle soaring high in the skies of Accra and all of that. Okay, so there we go.
Is there sound?
See it all when you're involved in corruption and think you're hiding. We will get you. In the skies, at sea, and on land, we have eyes everywhere. We see it all when you're involved in corruption and think you're hiding. We will get you.
Of 12 years if you're caught for corruption, a maximum of 25 years. That's what awaits you. Sammy Darko, or Samuel Appiah Darko, Director of Strategy, Research and Communication Division at the Office of the Special Prosecutor. We're grateful for your time. But don't you forget, we're taking you to the streets of Circle right now because my colleague, Kojo Yankson, is standing by. It's exactly 10 years, June the 3rd, 2015, up to now, when we recorded that great disaster on the back of a flood and the explosion of a filling station. Kojo Yankson is on hand. Kojo, over to you.
After, I think, 2 or 3 days later, when I hear a loud sound, like a sound of, let's say, generator, or somebody shouting, hey, 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 then I remember, then I panic. It makes me remember that incident, because that time, people were panicking, people were shouting, screaming and all that. So when I hear something like that, it reminds me of that incident. Yeah.
How do you feel when it starts to rain?
Yeah, in this area, for instance, I know somewhere else or other places when it's raining, especially in the night, you feel good. That is where you have to enjoy your sleep, you see. But here, when the moment it gets cloudy, then you begin to, you don't feel good. How much more raining, you see? So when it's raining, we don't feel comfortable. We will be peeping through our windows, watching where the level of the water has gotten to and all that, until the rain stops finally, before we'll be okay. Yeah. So it's not something.
But has anything changed? I mean, when it rains, does this area still flood?
Yes, when it rains heavily, it still floods. Nothing has changed. And I don't know what the government is trying to do, or maybe individually we are trying to do about this area, particularly when it rains. I don't know. Maybe what we have to do individually is littering around, you see. We have to be cautious about that kind of things. Me, for instance, when I'm standing here and somebody is passing, and the person drops maybe pure water sachet or something, I make the person aware that, no, you see, here, I live here, and when here floods, I know how it is. So please, when that person might not be living in this area, and he or she will create litters around and then leave and then go to elsewhere to another place, then we will face the consequences when it rains, you see. So we have to create that awareness in this area, not here alone, but everywhere. Educate people about littering around, you see. Yeah, that is what I think. And then after, the government too has to come in and then make sure the gutters and then the rivers are all dredged.
I have no doubt that you miss your friends you lost. You talk fondly about the gentleman who worked at the Forex Bureau. I'm just imagining that if he could hear you right now, what would you say to him?
Well, what I'll tell him is we've missed him, and if we should get another chance, we will know how to correct our mistakes so that we'll be protected, you see.
Kwesi, thank you for your time. God bless you. Well, this is the fallout of the reality of what happened here that night. Good morning, Kojo. I've got to tell you that I've just had a harrowing conversation with a young man who survived the carnage of June 3, 2015. In fact, I've held on to him for just an extra moment so that he can tell our audience on radio just a summary of what he has told me already. Please walk us through the events of that.
We call this the AM Show. My name is Benjamin Akakpo. Welcome back aboard. We're going to be talking about impact spanning 3 decades, and it's at the foremost, the premier university in Ghana, and of course, a radio station, a campus radio station that has had immense impact. I only joke with them that their only loss is the fact that yours truly did not pass through their hands. That would have shaped some sort of impact. But this morning we're talking about Alhaj Abubakar Sadiq. And of course, you must know, he is that doyen of Radio University. Joining me for a conversation on him, we have Dr. Kweku Botre, General Manager, Radio University. He's also a lecturer, Department of Communication Studies at the University of Ghana. Doc, good morning.
Good morning, Ben. And thank you for having me.
Since you're a communicator,
Yours is also very, very nice.
Alhaj, I heard Alhaj's name. I had been hearing it. I've been hearing it for a long time. Quite a number of, those who have passed through the ranks here, still here, who have passed, also went through that experience. But tell us about the impact of Alhaj Abubakar Sadiq over these 3 decades and why we are even talking about his touchdown.
Yeah. Ben, you rightly started by even stating that there are quite a number of his proteges who have passed through this network and are still here. In fact, I must say that the producer of the AM show, Echo is a product. Dr. Abubakar Sadiq Ahmed.
So both Ekosam and Kingsley Otu, yes.
Yeah, I mean, the list is endless. If we talk about his impact, from 1994, when Radio Universe was established, and note that it was the first independent radio station in Ghana. We have to put that on record. The first independent radio station in Ghana, which was spearheaded by the professors at the university, you know, Professor Yanka, the then Vice Chancellor, and a host of others, the Department of Communication Studies, then School of Communication Studies, ensure that Radio Universe became functional. And so over the years, Dr. Ahmed has been the station manager and has been able to nurture a generation of media giants in Ghana. And of course, his impacts go beyond media because there are people working in, just mention it, everywhere. I mean, recently we heard Raymond, who was with you here, Pakwesi, who was formerly here at the Bank of Ghana. So you see, it's not just a media stuff. It's like everywhere, the impact Ajibebia, as people will say it. So it is important that we celebrate him as he bows, you know, draw the curtain and takes a rest. So that's what volunteers decided to do, that there's no way we're going to let him just go on retirement without, you know, recognizing his impact. And so on Friday, the volunteers decided that we will have an event to celebrate him, and it's going to be a momentous and a memorable one at the University of Ghana at the Great Hall, and we're inviting a lot of people, you know, politicians. I didn't mention politicians. A lot of politicians pass through Radio Universe. I mean, talk about Honorable Okujeto Ablakwa, Sammy Darko, and a host of them. You know, Radio Universe was a platform where some of them even learned public speaking and all that. So the impact is very big, and we are glad that we are able to do this to honor his legacy. I see.
Interesting dynamics. Did you pass through that system?
Yes, yourself? I am a proud product of Radio Universe, and at the time
from
I was
level
there.
100?
No, not from level 100. I went to Radio Universe, I think, from level 300. And, you know, I was there till I went to the Department of Communication, then School of Communication. So I was there for quite some time because I did my undergrad with them, and then during my graduate studies, I was still with them. When I was there, Daryl Kwao, you know, who manages the business news, he's on the business desk, was also there as well. And, you know, a host of others, Raymond Akwa, who just left, was also there. So it is clear that though I'm no more in the media, I am also doing, contributing to other sectors. So the impact Radio Universe has had is really, really, really commendable. And I believe that we should set aside a day, aside even honoring Dr. Ahmed, to look at the radio and training, which model works. Because the Radio Universe model, which is practice, is not necessarily going to the classroom, has proven to work very, very well. How about a hybrid model? You know, so
which would entail what exactly?
Which will entail, for instance, if Radio Universe had a classroom where they go and learn about communication theories and principles and all that, how would it impact, you know, vis-a-vis, we've seen the model where is the classroom model, we've seen that, and now we have the universe model.
I've seen a number of institutions now. KNUST has its own. You can talk about private institutions. Academic City, I've seen them with their own station. In fact, someone I've worked with before is that they are doing amazing things. Yeah. What more can that model yield?
The model of practicality?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, radio...
Because you have students involved, they are doing, you know, they are involved in the bulletins, they are preparing all of this, they are going out. What else can that model yield?
So the model is, you know, media work is practice. It is not, you know, academic stuff. I mean, you could have a PhD and you get into the newsroom, and you can have a PhD in journalism. And if you have never practiced, you get into the newsroom and you'll be found wanting. And so the ability and the chance to be able to gather news, interview people, you build that confidence and the stage fright that a lot of people are captured with whenever they have the opportunity will be gone before you realize it. I tell you this, when I was a student, there was a friend who was supposed to, on a project, call the communication director of MTN. I mean, she had just one job, to call her, and she was trembling. She came to me and said, "Can you do this for me?" And I was like, "Sure, why not?" So we take it for granted. Because I'd been at university, I've been on air, I just called her and said, "My name is so-and-so, we're doing this project, and we'll be glad that you could provide this and this assistance." It was so smooth, and she couldn't do that. So I'm saying this to say that the practice model will build your confidence. You will learn, you will make mistakes. The first time, I'll tell you, I went on air, and the first word I learned to pronounce right, you guys do, say it right, was lunch. Guess how I pronounce it?
Lunch.
Your guess is as good as mine. In Ghana, we call it lunch. And I went on air, it was an announcement, I said lunch. I came in and said, "No, that word is not lunch. It is not a meal, it is lunch." And I was like, wow.
Another common one we say, instead of, something is haunting him, they say it's hunting.
It's hunting.
I don't know which tool or gun we're using to hunt.
Exactly. So you have that opportunity to make mistakes and learn so that by the time you come out, you are fully baked for the industry.
As we, cap off this conversation, well, there's this bit. People say that in Ghana, if you serve, if you give your best of your talents, your skills, the country doesn't really look at you in a certain light, doesn't really give you what you deserve. And it's not necessarily that these people want, give me money or give me something, but the recognition, the acknowledgement.
Yeah.
Is that tide shifting with what we are doing for Dr. Ahmed?
Probably it should, and it's unfortunate that people who have served the nation tirelessly will just leave unceremoniously. And so the volunteers thought that, hey, and we understand the University of Ghana, every year, so many people are retiring. The university can't possibly organize a dinner for everybody. Usually they do one big event for retarees. But we thought that Alhaji can't just leave or we need to really recognize the impact he has made. And we believe that this should serve as, if you like, some sort of things that people will look up to and also emulate.
Right.
So it is, and I must say that at this event, we are inviting the president, who we understand cannot come in person, but he's delegating someone to be there. We have the vice chancellor, who has promised to be there. And we have academics, Professor Yanka, who will be chairing the event. And then politicians, as I said, university has produced a lot of politicians. That's where they started with all their, public speaking experiences and all that. They are all being invited. And of course, friends of Alhaji are also coming. Yeah.
All right. And we celebrate him, Dr. Ahmed, Dr. Abubakar Siddiq Ahmed. I do know that definitely a certain Derek Ekosam, a certain Kweku Asante, who doesn't like being called Bismarck, a certain Darokwao, a certain Rebandakwa, a certain Joseph Akable, and so many of them. I mean, these names are mentioning. I mean,
I'm surprised you didn't come to Universe, because I know you were at Legon. Yeah.
It's a long story. You guys missed out on me. But anyway, we celebrate him, of course, and Dr. Boche, thank you so much for joining the conversation. And though I didn't go through that system, I've seen the impacts of that system, and I join myself to celebrating this man who has done great things. Nipaya Dea Osai.
Thank you very much for giving us the opportunity.
Right. And that is Dr. Kweku Botwe. He's General Manager at Radio Universe. And the man we're celebrating, it's his touchdown, Dr. Abubakar Siddiq Ahmed Al-Hajj, over 3 decades of giving to the media space. Let's head back to the Kwame Nkrumah Circle area. This day, 10 years ago, that flood and the aftermath. Kojo Yankson is speaking to some witnesses. Over to you, Kojo.
The owner was here that night. He experienced the carnage, and he still remembers it like it was yesterday. The effects also linger. I want us to meet him and learn a little bit more about his experience. Right, now this place is literally 10 meters away from the GCB tower, so it is very close to the epicenter of the explosion. Hello, sir. Come with me. And let's meet the audience. So, this gentleman who is on his way out has worked here for quite some time. What's your name, sir?
Mr. Labi.
Mr. Labi, you were here when it happened?
Yes.
Tell us what you remember, please.
The day was around 6 p.m. to 8, 9 p.m. And when the rain started, we thought to stop earlier, but I couldn't. Around 6:30, 7 o'clock, it came down. Then it started again. Then you saw the flood coming. So you thought the rain would stop for the flood also to go or to stop. But that didn't happen. But rather, the flood was going up, going up, going up, entering our shops and rooms. So in the beginning, as I've said, we didn't know it will come into our shops and rooms. So I told my boys, we should exercise patience because the flood will go. But we realized that, no, my thought wasn't what is happening. So you have to pack our things that we can carry on with ourselves and leave the shop. So we carry what we can and climb this story building. We were there.
You mean the GCB building?
No, this very building.
The one next door?
Yes.
Okay. You climbed it?
Yes, you climbed to this. You climbed to this up. Okay. The upstairs there. Yeah. So you were there. When you saw something like oil, you can see the thing flowing through the flood like oil. So some of us were arguing that this petrol or oil, ordinary oil. Then some of us were saying, oh, the scent looks like oil, ordinary oil. Then you were there when you saw a quick fire down here.
Near the market?
Yes. So you ask ourselves, who is this that it is raining and it's burning rubbish? Within 2-3 seconds, then the fire ran quickly, through here, and also passed to our area here. And God so being good, when he reached this gate, this very gate, he stopped. But he went to the back there and came to the house. So 8 rooms got damaged. The fire bent their windows, their roof, and their gates, the main doors. And 2 rooms, the fire entered the room itself, so it burned their belongings. My boys, so luckily, they don't know how to swim. When the fire came, you were here, when you saw the thing, you have to also rescue for our lives, so you jump into the water again.
When the explosion happened?
Yes, you jump into the water again. As you are swimming to, you don't know where to go. So my boys, 3 of them were going, and luckily, 3 ground people, they were swimmers. They were managed to rescue the boys for me. And we saw that because it is petrol which has burned on the fire, on the water, the fire stopped. So we managed to also be at where you were. Then around 3-4 a.m., a policeman, a NEDMO man, and a fire service man, they came to me. They came here. So when they came, they mount a big rope tied to this one up to the roadside over there. And they said we should manage to hold ourselves small, and go there. And he said, we are lucky. Some people have died there. So we have to leave whatever it is in our rooms and our shops and, think of our lives first. So I left this door closed but without padlock. And the policeman advised me to leave it. Nobody will come and touch anything there. So I have to think of my life first and leave it. So I left my shop without padlock and went there. So when you went there, really, you saw plenty people lying on the ground dead.
Can you estimate how many people you saw dead that day?
NADMO coordinator. First, they brought some pickup. And he said, oh, this pickup is too small. Right now, within about 30 minutes, I'm able to retrieve 150 people. So go and bring a bigger one. So I can't say they are 200, but in the beginning, he said he has brought out 150 people, dead people. Yes, so you saw them on the pickup full of.
Do you know any of the people who died that day?
Never. Only a certain lady here who used to prepare rice is the only person I know. The rest got injured. There are two guys in this room got injured, this house. They got injured. For them, I don't know. But the dead ones, I don't know. I don't know any of them.
So you nearly lost your sons that night?
Oh, yes. Because you jumped into the water. Me, I'm not a swimmer, so I don't know what to do. I just call God. Where we are now, if it is the end of the world, He should forgive us. So, yes, suddenly the fire stopped. So that made us became free a bit. But in the beginning, we thought that the end of us, you've gone.
This is a story, this is a question that no parent wants to think about. But let me ask you, what would you have done if you had lost any of them that night?
My vendors.
Your boys, yes.
My vendors, the only thing I can do is to inform their parents. I've lost two of them here before. Their parents came, but they pushed everything on me to do. So I was lucky that none of them lost their lives, because when I call their parents, they'll come, but I will do everything. So that is it.
So today, 10 years later, when it starts raining, do you feel any safer?
I don't think somebody will forget this thing and say, oh, now we have become used to it. Never. When you see a sign that it's wanted to rain, our BP goes up, our temperature goes up. People around here, and I'm known to the people here, so many of them will come to me, Mr. Labi, will it rain? Will it rain? I say, let's pray. The sign I'm seeing, I learned something from my mother. He said, watch the weather. If it is rain, if it will rain, you will know. And if it is raining, you used to listen to the tender. He said, it is raining somewhere. By the time to get here, it has come down. So sometimes I tell them, the way I'm watching, I'm seeing the sign. It will rain, but it will not be much here. And it do happen. This very year, over the year, that's what I've been telling them. It do happen also from my mother's experience.
It's easy to imagine how such a trauma can turn people like Mr. Labi into meteorologists. So let me take you through the community. Let's meet more people. Let's find out what happened to people. This is a man who lives in the area. Tell me your name.
I'm Francis Bedin. No, I how to talk back to go to this is my near house. I want to talk more.
Mr. Baden wants to show us his home. Let's find out. Go ahead. Well, he lives here. He must know something we don't. Let's find out. Mr. Baden, where's your house? No, let's stay here. Tell us.
People are here.
Were you here when the flood and the explosion happened?
Yanka tree. That be Mbacho, Mentebro for no. Mbacho, Mbacho, what the command, after I having Namum, Mbacho, Cecilia, you hear Mwaka crack, Minimedia or on the Casay, Bacho, Cecilia, maybe 10 city. Namada Koto, 10 city, obesity mobile phone. And the Cecilia. Me pesen ka me munya na mumra na yanko fie ho na mo hwe de ansuo ha yeta dwum yabre
na wo ha
ay tanya me ya de kan kiro
then na hu ye
the fire burn, let's go inside
chire me ne hu ye
mbacho nyame ne boye manimi ni sabata ba me nkata ya ho ne da nti mbacho menim dia ne ba o kasai Bacho ne bakobo bizanko na makoto na nsuo za for bae no bacho ana yanko viewra ho na nkaza na nti omu anim
medawase bebre nyame nshiraw. So that's Mr. Baden. He's an indigent and he was certainly affected by what happened, but he's not the only one. This is a community that combines residences and businesses, and they were all affected. This is a home that I visited 10 years ago when this whole place was flooded, and they were pulling out their property and equipment that had been damaged by the rain. I remember a young man who told me that this happens every year. The only difference is that there was some fire to turn it into even more of a tragedy, but the flooding happens every year. Yesterday, I visited them, and they told me the same thing. They're not willing to speak on record because they feel like nothing will come of it, but they are deeply concerned about the fact that 10 years down the line, there have been no changes. Nothing has happened to make them any safer, and they are concerned that if this continues, then every night it rains, they are simply minutes away from another June 3 disaster.
Welcome back as we get ready to cap off the AM show. Let me give you a few messages, I should say. But let me also let you know that we are activating the phone lines, and we'd love to hear from you on your thoughts on the entire Ken Ofori-Atta situation, the Wontumi situation, but also 10 years after that massive flooding event, which also led to that gas explosion at a filling station, so to speak. But let me tell you about the Ghana Football Awards. We're inviting you to join us on June the 14th. It's at the Palms Convention Center for a night of excitement, glamour, and a celebration of Ghana's finest football stars. Let's unite the nation once again through football. Ghana Football Awards is a Football Impact Africa initiative. It's powered by Activate 360 and proudly supported by the Multimedia Group and AE Mediacom. Ghana Football Awards, celebrating the stars of our passion. You can call to share your thoughts on these numbers, 0302-211-691. Let me also tell you about the conference, and is the Chartered Institute of Human Resource Management Ghana presenting the CIHRM 2025 conference on June the 18th and 19th, 2025 at the Alisa Hotel. The theme is regulating HRM in Ghana, standards, ethics, and sustainability. Conference rates for members, 3,200 Ghana cedis. For non-members, 4,000 Ghana cedis. If you're a student, you pay a cool 2,000 Ghana cedis. And now, register now via the CIHRM website or CIHRM Ghana on Facebook, LinkedIn, and X. You can also call these numbers, 0243 278 694 or 0208 112. I believe that last number is incomplete, but you can focus on the first number for group registrations and discounts. CIHRM, transforming work and workplaces. Don't you forget, you can still call 0302-211-691. Let me know what your thoughts are on the matters we've discussed. But in between, are you looking for a home in a prime location? Nestas Homes has got you covered. Our properties in Tema Community 26, just behind the Palace Mall, offer a serene atmosphere, easy access to transportation routes and social amenities. Off-plan prices start at 35,000 American dollars. Reach out today on 0531 014 440 or 0531 014 447. You can also check out our website www.nestas.com.gh. Nestas is spelled Nestas. And of course, definitely, once you secure that home, you will be thinking about water. So let's talk water tanks, yeah? Do you know the secret to real water storage? It's actually silly simple. If your tank doesn't have the tortoise on it, it's not the correct tank. That's right, the tortoise tank, Syntex tank, is the champion of water tanks. It is strong, it is durable, it is built to handle our Ghanaian weather, so that rain or shine, Syntex tank has your back. So my people, step outside, check your tank. If it doesn't have a tortoise on it, it's time to upgrade, scale up. So join the Syntex tank family today and enjoy water storage that's tough like a tortoise. You can call this number 0244 335 168 to buy now or find one of our 400 agents nationwide. You can also shop online at syntexgh.com. Syntex tank, you know, air strong, air tough. I'm still awaiting one or two calls if they come through. If not, it's going to be the last call. But are you ready to dream, dare, and deliver in the world of IT? Well, look no further than the Jackson Institute of Technology, the only NIT authorized training center in Ghana. And there's a whole lot to talk about. At JIT, we provide world-class IT training for individuals and corporate organizations, equipping you with industry-relevant skills in software development, cybersecurity, networking, cloud computing, artificial intelligence, digital marketing, and a lot more. We also offer globally recognized certifications, practical job-ready training, and flexible hybrid learning options, which allow you to study online or on-site. Our expert instructors ensure hands-on learning experiences that prepare you for success in today's digital world. It's conveniently located on the Ring Road near Circle in the heart of Accra's Central Business District and in Kumasi at the Jackson Educational Complex headquarters, Ayediase, near the KNUST. Now, JIT provides easy access for students and corporate clients. Our state-of-the-art auditorium is also available for corporate events, seminars, and training sessions. You can call or WhatsApp on these numbers: 0596 996 037 or 0596 996 038 or 0552 714 633. You can visit our website www.jit.edu.gh. JIT, your gateway to a thriving IT career. And, well, I believe this is where we're getting ready to sew it all up, to draw the curtains on another memorable AM show. It's been a pleasure coming your way. But 0302-211-691 is the number to call. Let's see whether we can sneak in a call or two. You can call, tell me about the Ken Ofori-Atta issue, the Wontumi issue, government tackling Galamsey, and everything in between. Let me know what your thoughts are. Do we have a call on the line? Hello, good morning. Hello.
Hello.
Obi wa cheche phone no so ana.
Pacho, me pese minka finance minister no wasem.
Okay, would you like to speak English? Obeka potokasana.
I'd like to speak English.
All right, please go ahead. Please go ahead. Mute your TV so it doesn't interfere with the conversation. Go ahead, please. Go ahead. I hope you don't lose the spot. That's sad. That's sad. I wanted to hear from him. I really wanted to hear from him. Well, let's see whether we can get... hello, good morning. Who's on the line?
Good morning. This is Naz calling from work.
Go straight for it. What are your thoughts?
Yes. In about 3 months ago, that Ghana water has suspended their employees. And then no one about it. And then the employees are now, the suspended employees are now going around looking for people to speak for them. Still, they are not getting the voice to speak for them. Please, people that come to their feet. Because what they are coming for, they left. We just that after the West, after them, and they suspended. They passed through all the necessary procedures, and still, they haven't heard anything from management whatsoever. Please, if you can use your medium to speak for these people, it will help them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hello, good morning. Do we have another caller? Hello, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I am well, sir. Your name and where you're calling from?
Mahama from Tamale.
All right, Mahama, please go ahead.
Yes, it is rather unfortunate these issues are coming up with respect to Chairman Wontumi. At least the government agencies should be more civil and decorum, the manner and the way they go about it. They should be aware that they're supposed to stay one day. The mandate given to them, it is not just nothing. They should consider as someone capricious. They should try to respect human rights, do it very manner, invite the person that ask the person that you proceed and process the person before the law. But so this way is more help for the country, and they need the way they do. So most.
Thank you for your thoughts. That will be our final caller. Let me celebrate. This one says, happy birthday to Na Ahene Amate. I don't know. Na Ahene Amate, staff of the University of Ghana Medical School. God richly bless you. May his face shine upon you now and forever. You are blessed from your lovely husband, children, the entire family, and your loved ones. We love you. And so happy birthday to Na Ahene Amate. Happy birthday to you. I'm also going to repeat this one. Loreth Jamfi, Dr. Joseph Reginald K. Ajiman. Happy birthday to both of you as well. And also to Mame Efia Adepa Otu. You are 3 years today from your favorite auntie and godmother, Loretta. Happy birthday to you as well. It's been a pleasure coming your way. My name is Benjamin Akakpo. I love Ghana. But stick and stay with us. Joy News Desk is up next.